Monroe Town Board meeting of Monday, July 17th. Will you please rise for the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, ladies Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending the 6:30, 7 and 7:15 public hearings, as well as consideration for an extension of the moratorium law and amendments to Chapter 57. With that said, Mr. Nugent, is there anything that we need to do to be able to open the second part of the public hearing?
No, just it's a second public hearing, not a second part. We did close the first one.
With that said, is there anyone that would like to speak?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to open the second public hearing on the comp plan.
I'll second it.
Call the question?
Aye.
Mike Andresi?
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Hope everybody had a good summer, had a good talk. Fireworks are very nice. If I'm repetitive, I'm sorry. I missed the last public meeting, minor arrangements, scouting and stuff like that. My basic concern is I know you changed the accessory apartment law. And my only question is, can it be enforced? I know it's answered, but my thing is like the tree code, again. Everybody says it really can't be enforced, so when we're doing a comprehensive plan, I just want to be sure we're not rushing it. I know it's been a year, I know everybody just wants to get moving on, I know they're trying to avoid lawsuits and whatnot, but my real concern again is some of the zoning changes, again, not rushing, the tree code, the apartments, and just making sure we came this far. It took us a long time to get here. Just if we take just that little tweaking, dotting the i's, crossing the t's, and just really making sure, you know, instead of having people yelling at you or distracting you, or just pushing it through, and then realizing, gee, if we would have just took that extra couple of weeks or a couple of months, that it could have made a difference. That's all I'm asking. Otherwise, I'm very happy that you guys have come forward and you're trying to make the changes and you're trying to correct things and fix things. So I applaud this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christine
Thank you.
Tucker?
Good evening. I just have a couple of questions. On this CPU, is this the final draft, the one that's been posted for the last couple of months? There were other options. Can any of them or all of them of those options be added? And if so, will there be public hearings on those additions? Have any of the requests that were sent to the board been discussed? And if so, when will the public be advised of the decision? I still believe the accessory apartment law should be repealed. It is not enforceable. It does not benefit the majority of single-family homes in the town and is not taxed at an appropriate rate for two families living in the same structure. I seriously have a concern about the accessory apartments because I don't think it benefits the majority of the people that live in the town of Monroe. And I don't think it was intended to be in the majority of the houses in the town. I don't think we have the structure, whether it be water or sewer or anything else, to support that. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
George Lithgow?
Good evening. Save you a little bit of time. I'm here on behalf of two clients, EMC Realty and Urban Business Park. Although the specific concerns that each of those clients have been addressed in the letter, there are some unknowns with regard to the zoning that would be put in place, and on behalf of both those clients, would like an opportunity to meet with the consultants, explain those concerns in greater detail. With Harvard Business Park, we have to provide Ms. Franson with 15 years worth of approval resolutions, maps, and other things, so she has a better understanding of the nature of the business park property and the constraints that the zoning could impose in terms of one way or the other. So we'd like an opportunity to meet with your consultant, put our comments in writing. After that meeting to the board, ask that you again give a 10-day comment period. We would hope to have an opportunity to meet with your consultant by that, within that time frame, and provide you with what we hope will be our final comments. So thank you.
Can you give us an outline of what it is, or you'd rather just meet with her? I mean, is there some things that you would want to let everyone know right now?
Well, they're set forth in our letter.
Right.
With regard to the business park, there's a reduction in uses that, what's currently there are consequences of the net lot area calculation could have a significant impact on the business park in the future with regard to lot coverage. And there are other points that were raised in the letter that I think follow that. We're still waiting, of course, to see the business park zoning overlay regulations. In turn, just when I spoke to Ms. Franson on the phone, she asked me for that information about business park structure, so she would consider that in developing those regulations. So it's a bit of a day-to-day situation. But I think if we can meet with her next week or so, we should be able to get a fairly good outline of where that's going. With regard to the Forest Road property, that also will have a reduction in the eligible uses. It has significant, the net lot area calculation, again, will have a significant impact on that. But to some extent, it appears inconsistent with the recommendations in your zoning law. Because on the one hand, the town is saying it wants the ratables, it wants office and commercial development. On the other hand, it's saying Forest Road is suitable for that commercial traffic. So it's a bit of a conundrum for our client. We have residential zoning that surrounds them. And I guess the question is there some way we can compromise on the uses that would be appropriate for that site so we can accomplish our goals and our plans. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
Jason?
Jason Shuminsky, Village of Monroe. Everyone here first? I'm going to do a little bit of repeating of what I said at the last public comment, but that's because it is super important and for the general interest of everyone else that's here, because there's about 10 times more people. Back in January, when we were first presented with our baseline inventory, we were presented with 4 different options about how to handle the area north of 17 around 7 Springs Road. And that got upgraded in zoning from open space to SR10. That is an increase in density, an increase in building allowances, an increase in building structures, and frankly, there are various other interests that, while I did not mention at the last one, should also be considered, such as traffic, water, sewer, lots of other fun stuff. By increasing the density here, maybe, I don't know, I could be wrong on this one. I see a de facto annexation, no matter how voter results go, no how court decisions go. No matter what, you increase the density, more people can live there. And if we're going to go with our vision statement that's outlined in our current comprehensive plan draft, we should be pursuing sustainable density. Secondly, in part 5 of our current comprehensive plan draft, we have an implementation section. I want to know how the town board plans to carry out the plan. I mean, what's the point of having a plan if you're not going to follow through on it? Lastly, which I will talk about later in Chapter 57 amendments, our zoning use tables should also be further restricted. I believe that our lot coverages for residential usage are still exorbitantly high. Thank you.
Thank you.
Diane Egan.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm just here to voice my support for the comprehensive plan update. I've been here for many of the public meetings that we've had, including, I took part in the surveys, I was here for the public meetings, I was here for the open house that you had. So it has been a very public and very long process. Joseph Goebbels wrote that if a lie is big enough and repeated often enough, people begin to accept it as the truth. It's the big lie theory. Unfortunately, there are people who, I'm troubled, keep spreading lies about this comprehensive plan. They come up to the microphone and continually repeat the lies, people on the town board as well. Some untruths that have been said, one of the big lies is that this has been a rushed process. We all know that it hasn't. We all know that it has been public, it has been a long process, it's been a professional process, and those of us who come regularly know that. Second big lie is that somehow the acreage north of 17 has been rezoned into high-density housing. This is not true. The truth is that it has been rezoned into SR10 or 20, single residence, like the home that I live in and my neighbors around Lake Park, at most 2 to 4 acres, 2 to 4 houses per acre can be built on it, none without sewer hookups. So I know that gentleman was concerned about sewer and water and things like that. So, the bottom line is the truth does matter. So it is important to tell the truth, and it's very important if you want a real discussion about policy to have it based on facts, not alternative facts or lies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ronnie Connolly.
Was there a joke that I missed?
No, you didn't miss it.
Oh, okay, good. I like to be part of the joke.
You are.
Anyways, I just want to say thank you to the board for enacting this comprehensive plan to be reviewed and taking the amount of time that you all have done to get it looked at and get to get it passed, hopefully soon. I think the changes that are made are smart. I think Ms. Franson's company and workers have done an amazing job of really looking at what's important to the town. Just like Ms. Deegan stated, I have been a part of many of the open public comments, the surveys that were taking place, the open house, the circuit that the town offered to voice my concerns and opinions. So anybody saying, as Ms. Deegan did, that this is a rush job, really, that's not the case at all. If I recall, this is well over a year now that this process has taken place, so thank you for doing that. I full-heartedly support this comprehensive plan and the due diligence that has been taken, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Emily Converes.
Emily Colbert. Good evening. We have not had a revision of the comprehensive plan in far, far too long. I want to thank Councilman Mike McGinn, Tony Cardone, and Rick Colon for working together despite hours and hours of filibustering, distractions, false accusations, and inflammatory remarks over the past year and a half launched at you by your fellow town board members, Supervisor Doles and Councilman McQuaid. You have not only withstood and managed the abuse, but you persevered, and today we have before us a comprehensive plan which protects hundreds of acres of land by lowering the density and is chock full of environmental protections. I applaud your efforts and your fortitude and your maturity. You waded through the constant politically motivated attacks and kept your eyes on the task at hand, legitimate town planning and zoning. I know that meaningful dialogue is not possible with our supervisor, And as a taxpayer, I resent the wasted hours, the immature ravings, and the complete lack of accountability for past decisions which have prevented a legitimate comprehensive plan from having happened in all of these years, while Doles, McQuaid, and Burke were the majority on this board. I would also like to mention that the town supervisors, current and past employees, have been making a lot of noise.
Rick was head still, I know. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I was talking hard. Excuse me. Go ahead.
Please continue.
I would also like to mention that the town supervisors, current and past employees, have been making a lot of noise to the effect that I or my fellow volunteers have cut deals, have campaigned for high density, and are in cahoots with developers. This is a classic case of projection. When you are doing these things, you accuse others of doing them to deflect in order to change public opinion. Normally, I would not bring this up, but because these employees and former employees of Doles have so frequently been at this very podium lying about my activism on behalf of the people of Monroe, I feel it is not only logical, that it is my right to set the record straight. My organization has and will always stand for good government and the promotion of a sustainable future. To sum up, I want to commend Bonnie Franson and Councilman Cardone, McGinn, and Cologne on your hard work in getting this done for all of the people of Monroe, who I am proud to have served myself over these past 5 years.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. John Allegro. I live on the other side of 17. I want to echo the sentiments of many people who got up and spoke before me. Thank the board, thank specifically Councilman Cardone, McGinn, and Cologne for enduring the political nonsense that's been going on through this community, or what should be a community-involved and community-based project. I'd also like to thank Ms. Franson for her hard work and dedication over the past 1 year plus as she worked on this plan. I'd like to just state a few of the facts that are in the proposed zoning changes and comprehensive plan. Several acres on the south side of the town, which border Tuxedo and Sterling Forest, are designated in the new plan for open space 3-acre zoning. Open space is a designation that did not exist in the prior residential zoning tables. There are also what I believe are sustainable and common sense changes to some of the areas of the town to suburban residential zoning, which are lot sizes that a lot of us who live, or a lot of folks who live in the villages of Harriman and Monroe are accustomed to living in. It's no different from that. It's half-acre, quarter-acre zoning, one house on a half an acre or a quarter acre, and it's not high density, which we've heard a lot of propaganda about. It is not. And also the zones that are designated for suburban residential are all within areas that have sewer service. And that makes it more sustainable rather than trying to cram so many lots on, and so many homes on an acre without sewer service. The town also, if this law passes, 3-acre zoning lots will increase by 1,070 acres. Most of the acreage from these lots will be taken from 1-acre zoning lots. We also see an overall decrease of 311 acres in suburban residential zoning, even though there's been a little bit of a shift in suburban residential zoning. So that's a decrease overall of 311 acres in suburban residential zoning. What people are trying to say is, high-density housing. There also are designated areas for ridgeline protection and watershed supply protection, which did not exist in the prior zoning. So I think that there's been an overall good, comprehensive look at the state of the town and the landscape in this comprehensive plan. As far as what a couple of people have been saying about an accessory apartment not being enforceable. No law is enforceable unless you have the ability to enforce it, unless you have the personnel or the resources to enforce it. The current accessory apartment law is no more enforceable than the prior one was. And we all know what went on with the accessory apartment law and the loopholes that were exacerbated by the planning and zoning boards that were appointed by Mr. Doles in the prior administration. Speaking of unenforceable, if we're going to say that a law is unenforceable, then we might as well say bag the tree code. Because how are we going to enforce it? Are the same people who are saying we should repeal the accessory apartment law because we can't enforce it? Are they saying that we should repeal the tree code? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And the tree code, if you want to talk about an onerous law, is way more onerous than the accessory apartment law is, and it's way more unenforceable than the accessory apartment law is. Specifically when it comes to the restrictions that are placed on homeowners. I think that
30 seconds.
Okay, I think that the provisions regarding subdivisions and interaction with the planning board, if new developments or new subdivisions are proposed, are sensible. I think the board needs to look at, however, the application of those exact same provisions to homeowners. A homeowner having to submit a tree code and rely upon an outside arborist to cut down a few trees on their property, on a property that's already developed, or they're seeking to develop it further, or perhaps to replace and enhance their property, I think it's a bit too much. So I'm for changing the tree code to make it a little more friendly, rather than repealing it because it's unenforceable, like the way people say we should repeal the accessory apartment law. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kate, I can't make out your last, oh, here you come, Kate.
Good evening. My name is Kate Amity. I'm a citizen of Blooming Grove, and I'm basically interested in open space and ridgeline protection, as the last speaker spoke about. And I did speak at the one annexation hearing that I was able to speak at midnight, and I brought, remembering that now, I brought copies of what I said then, because what I want to say now is basically the same, and I don't want to waste your time. Thank you. I'm unable to tell from the published maps or maps that I tried to find in the town hall whether Gonzaga Park is part of your plans. And Gonzaga is a very small park, 91 acres or so. And it's a park that has struggled through many iterations and many situations over the past years. It belonged to the state, after it belonged to RECAP, after it belonged to Catholic Diocese. Now it belongs to the county. And it seems to be part of one of the areas, at least, that's being talked about in your plan. So I'm just interested in what are your plans as far as Gonzaga and its surrounding area, and the long path from which leads from Gonzaga Park up Scunmont Mountain. Are there plans? I'm unable to find out what they are.
We can't go back and forth because it's a public hearing.
Okay, well, I'm interested in what those plans are. And there are two things that are mysterious to me about that, and lead me to the place where I come to you twice and maybe more in the future about this. One is that your county legislator, when he was talking about the new town, mentioned that it might, that it would impact some developments, some single-family homes, and a park with open space. And when I finally heard from him again, he said that he thought that that park was Gonzaga. So that's one reason why I see this as a mystery and not something that we should just take for granted. This county park will continue as a county park. If our county legislature isn't so sure about that, then I'm not so sure about that. And the second thing is, a new park opened on Larkin Drive, I think it's called, and it has a big sign on it, "Welcome to Riach Hachen." I'm not sure to say it. It's exclusively for use by residents of the KJ community, and goes to say various legal things after that. But the interesting thing to me is that it says at the bottom of this sign, residents of Orange County, Monroe, and Woodbury have the following public places to enjoy: Lombasha Park, Smith Clove Park, Thomas Bull Memorial Park, Warwick County Park, and Airplane Park. What?
3 minutes.
Okay, but
Yeah,
Gonzaga,
just the speaker, please.
Gonzaga is not mentioned there. So that's a mystery. What is really going on?
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
We could just note for the record that the last speaker submitted a document entitled Hearing Monroe Comprehensive Plan, July 17, 2017, and that's 2 pages, signed by Kate Pessamani, PhD.
Mike Egan. Joel Zibelman.
Good evening, Joel Zibelman. On behalf of my friends, neighbors, community, in regards of the zoning and comprehensive plan. I see Ms. Franson's not here. Someone's writing comments. First, want to thank Ms. Franson for her hourless, timeless amount of effort she had and is still putting in this zoning change and comprehensive plan. It's almost a year and a half she's working on it, and hopefully it's going to get done soon. Is it at all not a ultra rushing process, Mr. McQuaid, as your concern was in the past meetings? It's a very long time. I first want to give my support for this area, 7th Springs area near KJ, to be zoned for SR10. And I want to give a few comments after I read the new zoning. Number one, this place of worship was taken off. Should be put back in all zonings, since our schools and some of the school buildings are on town property. And if it's going to be taken off zoning, it's going to just get harder. Number two, to adopt a cluster code that will allow the property owner, any property owner who has an acre or more, to put together into one building. So then all setbacks can be much more grass and it's much more environmental friendly. And also this cluster code should not be a subdivision matter. It should rather be in form of building department and a review of the architectural review board. Number three, I saw on the latest draft of Ms. Franson, she took over the overlay option in the rear part of 7th Springs area. I would ask, should be put back. I think this overlay is necessary only if there's sewer and the right infrastructure for it. So I think it's appropriate with the new zoning. One more thing is the steep slope. I think she didn't realize, I checked a lot of properties, the topo in town of Monroe, it's not balanced. And the zoning now she had proposed is that to not be calculating in yield plans if it's 50% or more steep slope. I think that about 80 or 90% of the properties will fall off the table I rather think that if we put a cluster code in the zoning, it should be able to be even a steep slope to be calculated in the yield plan, and rather the planning board should enforce the right cluster code on that, so it will not be developed on the steep slope. To the last, I want to thank the board of working hard on this matter, zoning and comprehensive plan, and at the same time ask again from some people on this board to not discriminate against your neighboring community. The emails, Twitters, messages, and articles are still going on, and I have no idea why. Every person has a right to raise their voice and ask to be considered. This is America. And to answer the question where these people who is asking for the zoning change are, Mr. Dolson, Mr. McQuaid, go online and go into the town's website, and you will find many, many, many people asking for the zoning change. In fact, not everyone is ready to come down here to the mic and get a portion of attitude. By asking this question in public in every meeting is just trying to make a panic in town, and this is discrimination. So please stop. Thank you.
I saw Mike Egan came in. Mike?
Supervisor, if I may, I don't know if people are aware that Ms. Franson is not here because her father passed away on Thursday, so that's why it was kind of last minute. Otherwise, she certainly would have been here. So obviously, she will get your comments and copy the transcript as necessary.
I'm going to be Mike Egan. I'll be very brief, mostly because I'm unprepared. I actually came from something else, but I just wanted to say that I am proud of the process that this board has run. It has been going, I think you hired this firm in March of 2016, if I remember right. Yeah. And they've been working at it for whatever that is, 16 months maybe. They've had multiple workshops. During that time, they've had multiple public hearings. They've had an online survey, and I'm sure many other things I'm not thinking of. And we're not even at the end of the process yet. It's still going. So it is by far the most comprehensive process of planning that I've ever seen in this town. I've been in this town for 35 years. And anybody who tells you that that's not correct, you should then ask, well, why is that person saying that? Where are they coming from? Right? What's their motive in saying that? And all of you who pay attention here know that what I'm saying to you is true. You've never seen a thorough process like this. And the board, as it was composed before Cardone and Begin got here, had years to do this. Years. They didn't do this. So anybody up there or over here who criticizes the process, which has been thorough and complete, right? When they had the opportunity to run a thorough and complete process, again, just think about why is that person doing that? And I just make one last comment. I don't know whether it was mentioned here, but one of the fake news items that's broadcast in this town now continuously by the supervisor and some of his cronies here is that this thing somehow permits high-density housing. Right? And again, I'll just ask you to think about why would someone say that? What's their real motive? Because it's not true. You won't find anything in here about high-density housing. In fact, there's acres and acres of this town that have been made more rural. So why would someone get up here and lie? Why would they write emails that lie? Why would they, go on the photo news and post things that are lies? You know the answer. Everybody knows the answer, right? So it's a political war by people who want to keep the status quo as it was, beholden to the village of Curacao. That's what it's all about. And the rest of it is nonsense. SR zoning, I live in this SR zoning. Most of you live in SR zoning. Most of the people at home live in SR zoning. If you don't live in SR zoning, your friends do, your kids' friends do, the kids on your soccer team, your baseball team, your hockey team, whatever you play, the dance club, the cheerleaders, they live in SR zoning, right? So why shouldn't some of the folks that wear black clothes be allowed to live in SR zoning? I don't get it. I don't get it. But I do get it. The answer is, it's a way of painting political enemy as self-serving, so on and so forth. It's all nonsense. And just, once you get through the fabrications, think about why is somebody saying that. All right, thank you.
Simon Gallo, Stephen Joseph.
Good evening. Last time my attorney didn't show up, but now since he showed up, I'm gonna let him go.
You didn't pay him for last time, did you?
Good evening, everybody. It's nice to be back here again. Good to see you all. My name is Stephen Barshoff from Side Patrick Gazelle. I represent the property owners of about 500 acres of land who petitioned for annexation to the village of Curious Jewel. One just procedural question, is this just on the comp plan tonight, or is there a
Yes.
Okay, so will there be another public hearing on the zoning itself?
Yeah, I think
We have the zoning.
zoning is tonight.
Is
but
tonight as
two
well.
hearings, yes, and there's also an extension of the moratorium tonight.
Okay, so I'll start by speaking mostly to the comp plan, and if there's going to be another public hearing, I will speak in more details about the zoning at that time. Back in 2015, I did some digging back into some of the materials that were submitted when this process began, or right prior to that time. Tim Miller wrote a letter dated December 14, 2015, in which he went into great detail about contemplated changes that were being discussed in the comp plan, particularly in respect of impacts regarding affordable housing. I don't see any evidence that any of those recommendations that he had made were followed at all. As a matter of fact, Tom Shepstone, who's another planner, also looked at the proposed comp plan in respect of affordable housing and noted that the language that was released in 2008 was removed from the draft of the comp plan. This is significant because affordable housing and the provision of affordable housing is one of the primary indices of whether or not your zoning is fair, whether it is making appropriate opportunities available for people of all ethnic and racial backgrounds in terms of their ability to find affordable housing. Frankly, and others here, I don't go onto the blogs. I have no idea what people are blogging about or whose political ox is gored by whatever, and I'm not going to get into the midst of that. But I do find it interesting in the short time that I'm here that everybody is talking about how there should be, that it's a pariah, as if there should be high-density housing. You need high-density housing in order to be able to provide affordable housing. You just can't do it any other way. Now, I'll get into the details about the zoning a little bit later on, but I'll tell you, when I looked at this, the first thing that I saw were just a series of standards that are designed to take the minimum lot sizes that are there and make the minimum lot sizes primarily in name only. All of the deductions that are required for various types of features. You know, let me just say one thing about that. You don't have to do that. You know, you could turn around, and I think the gentleman who spoke earlier about cluster, let me take his comment and take it one step further. You can take a piece of land and you can say there shall be no development on environmentally sensitive lands. That's fine. That doesn't mean you cut them out, or you have to cut them out from the calculation of density. You do not. You can simply turn around and say they won't be built on and then they're protected. when you turn around and take the next step and say that all of that acreage should be deducted from determining what your lot count is in terms of doing a subdivision, that goes to density, that doesn't go to environmental protection. So when you've got these various areas that you're calling for with all of these different ostensible lot sizes, they are ostensible lot sizes, they're not what's going to be achieved. Then you turn around and you add in a whole bunch of other restrictions, like the crazy restriction that there is proposed on height, as if you go from the lowest point on finished grade to the highest peak of the house, and that's how you measure height? Really? I have not seen that, or at least if it's out there, it's not out there very often. Why is that? That is another way of limiting what somebody can do on their property.
30 seconds.
Similarly, you've got other restrictions that are in there, like the restriction on basements, which I found curious. I can have a huge cellar, but I can't have a subterranean basement. What is that about? Just because it's half of its grade, half of its level is above grade? There are a whole host of restrictions that fall into those categories of problems. Then we get to specially permitted uses, and again, I'll go into greater detail and talk about this on. But specially permitted uses, let's just take the general standards. If I have a specially permitted use and I get an approval, I have to get a certificate of occupancy and complete construction in 6 months with the possibility of 2 90-day extensions? In what world is anybody living who thinks that is even possible? You gotta turn around and go get a building permit. You gotta turn around and construct. You gotta then get inspected for a C of O. That doesn't include the time that you might have to get other approvals. This is la-la land. Forget about who you represent. If you're a Republican and you don't believe in government regulation, then this ought to cause you to shiver and shake, because you know who the only people who will benefit will be? Right here. It'll be the lawyers who will benefit. There's a crazy, ridiculous standard.
You're a minute over.
I'm sorry, just give me, I represent 500 acres of property, okay? They could all come up and yield their time, so just give me a couple of minutes. I'm not gonna take too long. No? Okay. Shall I have them come and yield their time? Can't yield.
What if you're a Democrat?
You can, you're more than welcome to submit more written comments or, continue review.
I'll submit written comments. My only fear is I just don't think they get read.
One question, what if you're a Democrat? Is it the
If
same
you're a
thing?
Democrat and you also believe the same thing, you should have the same reaction.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I don't want discrimination against me.
Listen, I just want to remind everyone of the meeting rules that we're not responding to the audience members as they
couldn't resist.
All right. I just want to keep everything, the playing field level for everybody.
Ward Brower?
Ward Robert, private citizen. Finally, I have something I can agree with the attorney. I don't like blogs. That's about as much of an agreement as I go. I presume this is part of the seeker process. I'm sorry Bonnie's not here for a tragedy yet, but someone from her organization should have been here. But this is part of the seeker process as far as I know and believe. And seeker process came into establishment in this state 1975. 5 years later, a handbook was published. It's guidelines, how to conduct a meeting. And maybe the board ought to pay attention to that. Allow speakers 5 or 10 minutes per speaker. If any speaker wants additional time, allow the opportunity after all others have had theirs. They ought to follow that example instead of cutting short, because these are very significant things with questions we're trying to address. By the way, we did have other master plans and comprehensive plans that went on for under the auspices of the planning board and town board, and I've been on some of those, and Peter Martin's been on some of those, and they did go on for 2 years, and they were very thorough. And one other correction, we don't have a tree code, so it's not, you can't enforce it, we don't have it. When we had doesn't apply to it. Now, questions never answered, or asked never answered before, and then tonight we did get some answers. My question was, who requested the higher density next to KJ? And I saw who did that. Who requested the higher density from Skinny-Monk Road southeast of exit 130 on Route 17 from RR1 to SR10? By the way, that is higher density. In some areas, It's what the land will support. You have 1 acre density, that means that's what that land will support, a well and sewer. They can't put 4 houses on it, will not support it. So when you get to SR10s, you need infrastructure. That costs money, which we don't have. West side of Seven Springs Road, RR3, low density, SR10, high density, contrary to what they think. Route 44, west of KJ, RR3, RR1, that's an increase in density. And by the way, they say RR3 was expanded at the expense of RR1. There are many lots in RR1 now that will be grandfathered in because they are in existence. So not all of that will be converted over to RR3. Let's get that straight. Questions on the accessory apartment law. Sorry, no one to answer any of these questions. It says in the code to be maintained according to fire prevention and building code. How do you do that if you don't inspect it? Who inspects that? Accessory apartment permit shall be renewed annually by the building inspector, providing the building inspector has determined everything has been maintained with regards to the regulations. How is he supposed to know that when he can't get in the premises to examine? This law is flawed. For those who think it isn't, it is. And we've heard about transitional zoning, that we have a high concentration of humanity in a certain village, and therefore our borders should reflect that zoning and then transition down to less zoning. How about that village that has the high density, before they get to our border, how about them transitioning down to less density? Why is it always us giving? You know, there's only so much air, water, and food, and resources in this planet. We need to take stock of that. And this is like conspicuous consumption. And I know I'm going to run out of time, even though I'm not going to get my 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you.
We got 40 seconds.
Andy Lawrence?
Good evening. Thanks for your time. I am a proponent of Chapter 56, which is the wetlands ordinance that is pretty significant in the town of Monroe. It's a signature piece of legislation that was passed back in 1990, and it was pretty much the same kind of process that we're going through now. And it was passed in the turmoil going around the Sterling Forest Preservation, which I think worked well for the town. And the intent and spirit of that law, I think, over the last couple of years has been pretty much abused, particularly as it applies to the buffer zone that's mentioned quite specifically in the wetlands ordinance. Now, we've always felt that the first subsidy to a developer is the lack of regulation. The law is clear, the law is on the books. The interpretation that comes down can only be appealed through the state courts. I think we're seeing now how the state courts are not really, in my mind, really taking care of what the local community needs. And pretty much you have to appeal a decision that will cost thousands and thousands of dollars in that appeal, even if you know you're right. So I'll stop here. I just want to make sure that if we can look at what that buffer zone calls for, what we did back in the 90s, after a certain amount of turmoil getting the thing on the books, it should be interpreted the way it was written. And it should be followed through. The spirit of that law should be carried because it's on the books. A guy named David Church, who's the county planner, he said during his EIS hearings on one of the takeovers that the Monroe Chapter 56 Wetlands Ordinance is unique, it's specific, and it's robust. Those are the words that he used. So I just think that if we stand up and apply it, it applies to the entire town, and it applies to every development in the town, and it should be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jacob Thorne.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
My name is Jacob Ferenz, and I am one of the founders of the Curious Joe Alliance, which was founded in 2001. I believe I am the only person in this room, or probably in this town, who has the unique attribute of having helped me get elected every single person sitting at this table, except the attorney.
In a roundabout way.
My reason for speaking tonight, even though no one has heard from the KJ Alliance specifically, except once, when we placed an ad in the Times Herald Record after there was some ugly accusations of anti-Semitism. That's the only time when we made ourselves heard. Over the past 2 years, I personally and my close friend and associate, Liebe Deutsch, one of the leaders of the KJ Alliance, one of the kindest persons in Orange County, were disparaged, were called names, were called owners of land, were every type of lie or accusation has been made against us by people who we actually were friends with them at a time. Now, I will not respond to that at this moment. I will just state that it is sad and that it is untrue, whatever was said. The goal of Curious Joe Alliance has always been to help people within the community of Curious Joe, as well as the people of Orange County, town of Monroe, to live together in peace. We've always made every effort that our neighbors should understand us, because that is our obligation as Jews, to live in peace with our neighbors. And if we have to sometimes bend, we should bend, and we have to bend, and live in peace with our neighbors. We still continue to do so. We will continue to do so. We thank the board for everything, the effort that they have done and they have put in to make sure that all the neighbors in this town live in harmony. And it probably is a case where not everyone is happy and everyone is happy. As a businessman of many years, I always knew there's an agreement where no one walks away happy. That's a good agreement. And I think that this effort that was put into this particular project has been absolutely fantastic. And on behalf of the Curious Joe Alliance, I thank you, gentlemen, for doing what you have done. I would like to make a few points to clarify certain accusations that have been made that are very important to be heard. There have been made accusations that we want to take over the Monroe Woodbury School District. It is absolutely untrue. We have lived in the Monroe Woodbury area, hundreds and hundreds of families of Hasidic Jews who have never voted in the elections of the school board, except once when we were urged by one of the councilmen that we should go out and vote, and we supplied 100 votes. That was once. And I cannot tell you what's going to be in 20 years from now. All I can tell you what it is now and what it has happened up until now. I have an excellent relationship with Elsie Rodriguez. She's one of the kindest, nicest, sweetest people that I've ever met. I get the ideal, I represent the schools, our private schools in front of the Monroe Woodbury School District. I get the utmost respect, the utmost help. And I'll quote what Elsie Rodriguez told me. She said, Jacob, every child that lives in Monroe Woodbury School District is mine. And that's Elsie Rodriguez. And as long as we're here, we will not go and vote and dictate our votes for children that we don't represent. And in spite of the fact that we spend millions of dollars in tax dollars, we get the respect that we deserve and that we need from the school board. We will not do anything in our power as long as we have the ability to change that.
30 seconds, Jacob.
I would like, one more thing that I would like to bring up. The SR10 that has been changed, I asked the board to extend that. Village of Monroe, probably most of it is SR10. We have large families, we need synagogues, there's some provisions in the law that you have now that restrict the use of synagogues. We live in our synagogues, that is our life. We go morning and evening, we study there, we learn there, our children are there, it is our life. We ask you to reconsider some restrictions on synagogues because we do not want to go to court to fight for a synagogue, which is something which, according to the Europa law, we're going to get anyway. So we might as well consider our needs, our religious needs, and do give us that provision. And if you can extend the SR10 area to a bigger area, that would be absolutely fantastic because it would give us more space. I thank you very much for giving me the time to listen to me, and may God bless you, God bless America, and God bless all the people of Monroe, New York. Thank you very much.
That's all the people signed up.
John, you want to comment? Council, would it be appropriate for comments by the board members or not?
Yeah, the rules provide for comments from board members, 5 minutes.
What about the fact that the firm was not here, neither Bonnie nor any other rep of the firm was here to answer any of these questions? Would it be feasible then to have another public hearing so that they could be here to answer these questions? Because I don't think it's, I've seen a few things that have gone on here that haven't been fair in public with the process. I know certain people think it's great and groovy and the best thing ever, and I understand why. And some gentlemen asked why. I know why. But regardless of which, to have no representative from the firm here, the experts would, great, as a lot of people say. I don't have the same opinion, but that's my opinion. But they aren't even here to answer the questions or to show people where they might be mistaken, right or wrong. And I think that's unfair to the public. Also, there was an issue with me when they had the thing up on the website, but it wasn't redlined. So for a long time there, I don't know when it was corrected. I could be wrong, I've been told it was corrected, I don't look at it that way. But if it wasn't corrected, now you have the public looking at something which wasn't redlined. So I'm just saying, aside from councilmen's talking about what the people are saying, we don't even have the firm here to answer these questions, or to give guidance to even the lawyers who came up here, professional to professional. So I think it's a, someone used the term flawed process. I think this tonight, in my opinion, if I was sitting out there or at home watching on TV eventually, I would think it was a flawed process. And I would like to know also, is everyone that looks at the website version of this, are they looking at this and saying it was redlined properly? Harlan?
No.
So we have something where a professional planner told me she copied it off the website and had to do her own page-by-page analysis from the new code, the new version of the code to the old one, line by line and page by page. And we're expecting the public to do it without a red line copy. Now, people may have criticized Chapter 57 when I did it, but we had red line copies out there. And we had it on the website as well, so anyone could see the changes in red line. So how you can expect someone who's not a professional planner to look at something this dense and say they know what they're looking at? I think, and you know, everyone talks about politics, I'm not involved in politics anymore. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous, and I think it does a disservice to the process and opens us up for problems in the future. So just on the process alone, I think we should look at having another public hearing. I mean, with a professional here, unless someone here got their planning degree overnight and didn't tell me. I mean, legally speaking too. I hear a clap. Oh, thank you.
Any other comments from the board?
Yeah, I'll just make one, and it's in regards to Chief Lorenz's comment regarding the school board. And I know I had asked Mr. Deutsch a number of years ago, I'm looking here, it was in 2005 or 2012, and or thereabouts. And part of the concern for both Mr. Deutsch and people that he represents, as well as some candidates that were running for the school board at the time, were the type of quality of care, special needs care, that they were receiving, and they decided to run, and they were asked by members of the district, they're now known as the Alliance, for help. And their effort was able to bring out enough signatures to be able to get 3 people, Elaine Vargas, Clara Munoz Feliciano, and Mark O'Brien, on the board. Now, there was a huge attempt to discredit both Mr. Deutsch, the Curious Joel dissidents, and the title was Attempt to Take Over the Monroe Woodbury School Board. And it was authored by Mr. Cardone here, using his email address where he at Grant's Hallmark. We've discussed this, we have it here. It went out to literally thousands.
Folks, please, no comments from the crowd, please.
The truth, Rabbi Deutsch will bring more than 300 votes of Monroe seating to ensure their candidates unseat incumbents and take control of the Monroe Woodbury Board of Education like East Roundabout. And it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. That's smearing anybody that tried to stand up for the rights of people to be able to carry petitions, sign, and run for office. And it worked, because from that moment on, Mr. Cardone, who had once been a vocal advocate against the KJ dissidents, somehow became an advocate for them. Now, things change. However, when we look at it, it really was either a harbinger of things to come, because the 300 votes are now thousands, or those votes which were going to take over the school district somehow decided, well, we're no longer going to try to assert ourselves as Mr. Cardone has claimed. So I appreciate the effort back a number of years ago when people tried to get together a petition to be able to protect their children, but at the same time, Mr. Cardone's efforts to basically vilify them, when they in fact, as Mr. Ferenc said, had no intent whatsoever to be able to hurt anybody except protect their children. In the case of these candidates, be able to try to seek better quality special education for theirs. Again, you know, when you look at the history of deception that's taken place, it is breathtaking, because now, rather than 300 people, 300 votes, we're dealing with 3,000 votes. We're dealing with a lot of votes, and there's nothing wrong with that. Things change. We just have to be, you know, aware that things are going to change. They will change, and people will have their right to vote in both town board elections as well as school board elections. That's all. Thank you. Anything else?
I'll comment on that. First off, once again, falsities and lies. I did not author that email. I did receive that email, and I will admit that I did forward it. And I was under the impression, and it was factual, that those candidates were brought forth by Mr. Doles and his crew, and they were extremely unqualified to sit on that school board. And having been a graduate of that school, and I've taken pride in that school, many of us here have given a lot to our community, have contributed a lot, have invested a lot, and I was not going to see the idiotic farcity that existed on this board at that time get associated with the Monroe Woodbury School District. That's it.
talked already.
Well-
Mr. Cologne, do you have anything you'd like to say, sir?
We're here to listen to the comments of people. We're here to listen to the comments of everyone in the town of Monroe. I think that our best bet is to absorb what is being said, why it's being said, and not to make a political comment or football out of it. Our job is to listen and get on with the people's business.
I just have a couple of closing comments on this. The whole idea of having a stenographer here is to record the comments and recommendations by the members of the public that are here. That's why the stenographer's here. The fact that Mrs. Franson isn't here and her brother, who was her backup on this plan, because their father died, precludes them from being here. It's a shame, but the fact that someone else from the firm is here really doesn't matter at this point, because the stenographer here is taking the minutes that will be turned over to Ms. Franson, and she will have those minutes to answer the questions and go forward with the next meeting. So that really means absolutely nothing. So you can discount what was said by the councilman here. Just, Jason, real quick, you talked about enforcement. You know, any law can be enforced. There just has to be a will to do it. And we're hiring another building inspector. That's occurring as we speak. We have a plan to go forward with a department that will streamline planning, zoning, compliance, all under one structure. It is a structure that is well used by a lot of other municipalities. It gives directed enforcement where it needs to be. And we're gonna go there with that. So, you know, New York State has 1 million laws in the books. The federal government has 1 million laws in the books. There has to be a will to enforce it. Previous board, through lack of direction, supervision, whatever, there was not a desire perhaps to enforce certain laws. Well, I can tell you, if you've seen anything from what we've done here so far, there is a desire to put this plan forward, to put into action, and have the enforcement mechanisms there to make sure that it's enforced. All right, that being said, I'd like to make a motion.
I'd like to comment on what the people said.
You already commented.
I didn't comment, I asked the lawyer a question. Look at the,
I think you made a comment there.
I just asked the lawyer a question.
You went for 3.5 minutes.
And it was an important question, because we don't have a representative firm. You can
Well,
discount me, Mike, all you want, but I asked the lawyer a question. I'd like to comment on what the people said. I should have the
I
same.
think you made a 3.5 minute comment there, Jerry.
No, it wasn't.
I think so.
All right?
I discount that.
That.
I'll just talk about what the people said. I won't ask the lawyer any more questions. Because I know who's.
You're out of order.
I know,
You're out of
when I ask a question of the lawyer, it's different than
You're
you
saying he's out of order.
I'll make a motion that we do not allow Mr. McQuaid.
Oh, taking away my right to speak.
As,
Oh,
no,
where's
as he
Goebbels?
did-
I saw
as he
him
did
mentioned
speak
earlier.
for
Where's
3.5
Goebbels? Goebbels was mentioned earlier by one in the public. He would have loved that move. I'd like to see what Jacob Ferenz would like to say if he sees me not being allowed to speak and how he would feel not being able to speak. Mr. Ferenz, want to comment from the back?
Mr. McQuaid, you were.
I did not get to speak about what the people said. I asked a question about the process.
I was going to make a
And the
motion.
lawyer didn't even give me a good answer, but I let it go.
McQuaid, I didn't even get to answer. You asked a question and went on
Then
to
answer it.
comment. You never asked the question or gave me
I
an
did ask the
opportunity.
question.
I did not answer any
Well, then why
question.
didn't you answer me? You see, I'm so used to you not
Right into your
answering me and only
comments.
answering 3
No,
guys.
you
I
went-
discounted that.
You just went right into your comments. You didn't wait
It was
for an
no
answer.
comment, it was a question.
Well, you know what, go watch the tape when you go home and you can see you asked a question.
No,
You
why don't
never
you go
let
watch
anyone
it? You know,
answer.
you work for me too, I know you forget that all the time. Well, you always sit near them and you don't talk to me. You talk all day to them, giving them advice that you don't give to me. Learn your job.
You keep
Learn your
making that
job.
same line. You never
Learn your
call,
job,
you don't
Ryan.
say,
You're a
you don't respond to
politician.
anything.
You're a politician. Go back to Rockland and be a politician.
Slow it
down. You don't do a job here. First law firm I've ever worked with. Horrible law firm.
Excuse me.
Why are we paying them?
Excuse me, we're playing a stenographer here tonight who cannot do her job, so could we just, if we're gonna go at each other, go one at a time?
All right, I'll continue. I was about to make a motion.
Mike
and my
and
motion was to
no,
keep
the
the
accessory
public
public law is
hearing
not
open until
enforceable.
first.
Jason, obviously SR 10 is a de facto annexation. The fall through, we'll see how and when, but right now the tables are
Mr.
too
McQuaid
dead.
is out of order.
I'm not, you didn't let me speak to the public.
No, you-
I love when people
you-
bring up Joseph Goebbels and then their buddies up here tell me I have no right to speak to the public, to hide more of what they're doing. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. As for Mr. Egan,
There's a motion on the
Mrs. Egan,
floor.
it was not a rushed process, I do believe it
Motion on
was,
the
you
floor.
disagree. Professional, obviously, the professional firm we hired here didn't even show up. High density, SR10 is higher density, you won't silence me because I have a right to speak, it's in the bylaws. I have 5 minutes. Alternative facts, Kelly Ann Connolly, the alternative facts. Veronica Connolly thanked the board, except 2 of us. The 2 are trying to protect the town from being steamrolled, like they're steamrolling my ability to speak.
Let's not make a motion, we make a recess.
Filibustering and lies, here we go, filibustering, not letting me even speak to the public. The accusations are a cut deal.
3 ayes.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to,
Was that 5 ayes?
yes,
Aye.
Okay.
we have approval for the minutes for April 24th. We need to,
Okay, Harley, can I, for April 24th, have a correction? So can we make it subject to the correction of changing, and where is it? Just put it. Somebody, oh, here it is. Okay, on page 1, resolution 181, it's just a typo, there's a 4 there. There was actually 3 councilmen that voted aye, so the typo is 4, I'm going to change it to 3, that's on page 1. So I'll make, if you could make it subject to the changes that the
make it
town...
subject to the changes that the town clerk requested. Any discussion, call the question? That doesn't.
We're making a motion to make changes?
We're subject to the change of resolution number 181, page 1,
Okay.
that it says 4 ayes, it should be 3 ayes. The councilmen's names are there, it's just that it says 4 instead of 3.
Okay. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have from May 1st.
Okay, I have a subject to change of it, these are typos. Again, resolution 206, it says 4, it should be 2. Resolution 208, it should be 4, it says 3. So those are typos. And Councilman Cologne is missing. He was absent, and it's not noted that he was absent.
No, no. Councilman Cologne was there, right?
Which day, what day?
Councilman
May
missing.
1st.
Okay, yeah, this is the meeting.
May
Patty
Huh?
did, so I'm not sure.
It says Councilman
Okay, so-
Cardone wasn't there.
Yeah, I had to abstain from voting because I wasn't there.
You weren't there. Oh, up here you said Councilman Cologne was there. Okay. Okay. So she does have him there as voting. Okay. So the changes for May 1st is, again, just a simple, we need to add Councilman Cologne as being present. And we have on resolution 206, it should be 2 ayes, not 4. And on resolution 208, it should be 4 ayes, not 3. And the councilmen are noted on their voting. It's just the ayes numbers. So could we make it subject to those changes?
Need the motion?
I'll make a motion that it's subject to those changes.
Second.
Call the question?
All right.
Aye.
I'll abstain on the May 1st meeting and I'll give you an aye on the April 24th meeting.
Okay, and that's all I presented for this evening.
Okay, June 5th and 19th are.
Yeah. They'll go till the 31st.
Upcoming meetings and announcements, we have. For tomorrow, we have the planning board meetings at 7 o'clock, conservation on the 20th, the ZB on the 25th, ethics board on the 26th. There's a scheduled meeting, an announcement, unmentioned, for the 27th. We have financial resolution, we need a resolution to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bill.
I'll second it.
Discussion? This is a question I had last week. Will you answer my question with regard to the trooper barracks? G&T Landscape,
I can answer that for you.
what are they owing?
They take care of the detention pond on Carriage Hill down by the pumping station.
Okay.
And they've been doing that probably for 8 years.
Okay. The other question is, Apex software, is that software for the assessor?
Which, oh, Apex?
Apex.
Yeah, it's a drawing program that they use.
It's a what?
It's for sketching, it's a sketching program that they have. And you asked about Solitude last week.
Yes.
That's the contract that the town
Contract.
has for ground weight management,
Okay.
and then we pay them in 5 payments. And you asked about New England. Yeah, and New England had to dial into the theater to reset a projector.
Frozen?
Yeah, maybe the way I wrote it out on the voucher didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But the projector froze up and they had to come in, dial in. They did it remotely.
We don't get,
They dialed
they
in.
don't provide any support?
I think maybe the support that they provided is probably was the first year. We're in our second year. Second year plus.
All right. And,
Did you have another one?
no, I just had a question with regard to First Cliff.
Yes.
You know, we spoke last week about the 2 bills for First Cliff, and the
Yes.
other one was FLC.
Right.
I made the point that it was one company, but you said it was 2.
Well, the FLC is
Corporation?
Is the corporation that does all of the hardware and the licensing. They bill through FLC.
How come we don't have a contract for FLC? How come nothing was put out to bid for that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's covered in their other contract or not.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
Okay. That's all. All I have.
Call the question.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Any budgetary transfers or amendments, Speaker?
No.
Okay. Moving to the privilege of the floor. Is there anyone that would?
I'd like to make a motion, we table the following items that are old and new business. Under old business, we'd like to table D, E, D as in dog, E as in Eddie. Under new business, I'd like to table A as in Adam, B as in boy, C as in Charlie, and H as in Henry.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Just one thing, you do have someone here from TMAC who wanted to discuss things with the board in executive session. And just letting you know that he made the trip here and he's hoping to speak to the entire board.
What is the topic for executive session?
He wanted to talk about security, which he didn't want to do in front of anyone, security issues, and also some personnel issues, which he felt would be.
If we're doing it time-wise, we'll try to get it in.
All right.
I don't see why security can't be discussed in front of people.
Well, you can't give away the security plans in front of the public, because then that would be a problem. Or it could be a problem. You never know.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion also that we have the motion out there.
Regarding the first item, the North Monroe Forum discusses the set date for forum. This was something which last town board meeting, Mr. Cologne agreed to, that we would have a public forum or forums. That was a promise that he conveyed for discussing this extremely large moment in Monroe history. It is going to impact.
I believe when there's a motion out to table, you
I'm
can
discussing
call the question.
it.
There is no discussion on it. There is no discussion, Mr. Dawes. You either call the question or it's.
This is a promise that was made.
Well, we can, excuse me. First off, I said it was gonna be on a weekend.
Yeah.
I didn't say which, and it's not gonna be now. And it has to come back from the county before we discuss anything, because that's putting the cart before the horse.
What is
So, you said, and these are your words, as long as we have a discussion, I don't care when. You said that on camera and in person, Mr.
So,
Supervisor.
You wanted when?
To be announced, and not at this time.
That's fine.
Okay.
Just call the question, please.
Aye.
Aye.
So,
Nay.
the accessory apartment law repeal is going to be tabled. The Town of Monroe LLC disclosure law is going to be tabled. The no soliciting law on anti-solicitation law, which fines up to $1,000, is going to be tabled. The landlord registry is going to be tabled. The no-knock registry is going to be tabled. The dog shelter
It's all
again
on
is
the
going to
record,
be,
yes.
I'm just making sure the TMAC Arts and Civic Center Management, they said discussion is tabled, as well as the TMAC personnel and security issue is tabled.
I think that
If we
covers.
can get to Mr.
So,
Mr. Overton, we'll do that, yeah.
no. So we have two no's and 3 yeses. Moving on to the Town of Monroe bids for collection, hauling, and disposal of garbage. Yes.
You had a first look discussion.
Our first discussion, just recently got this piece of paper and I handed it out to the rest of the board. We have no contract, so certain things that Earthcliff does is going to cost us more than if we had a contract. So in other words, right now without a contract, 3 months of labor to monitor daily remote backups, labor to monitor server event logs, labor covered under maintenance agreement. The 2 items I put there, if they're covered under the labor maintenance agreement, I believe they would cost us $722.50 for 3 months. And I think that if we don't have a maintenance agreement or extend them at least, month by month for several months, hopefully, then it would cost $700 each, which would be $1,400 for 3 months. So we would be costing ourselves, if these numbers are right, $677.50 more for the same service. So it might pay for us to think about going on a month to month,
Which they agreed to do.
which they have let us know at the meeting they would agree to do that, and it might save us a little money while things are looked at by the board. Just something to think about. I'm just relaying some information and saying maybe it might save us a little money, for the taxpayer, for the board to look at that. All right? Thank you.
It's important, these are important functions that really should have stopped as of July 1st. So I encourage the board to consider at least adopting a month-to-month contract with Earthcliff that they agreed to, that they agreed they would do.
You have that in writing?
Get it?
I want us to have the ability to say within 2 weeks, we're out of the contract. I mean, you're basically talking about a handshake agreement. I think what the important part about this whole thing is, the subpoena that came about relating to one of our town judges essentially revealed that our email program is a 2007 version.
That's not true.
Let me finish. The 2007 version of the email essentially was going to cost us approximately $9,000, and that was Earthcliff's price, if I remember correctly, to obtain all the emails requested through that subpoena. Now, if the upgrade for that program was done in 2010, we wouldn't have had an issue. There was also another time in 2013 where there was an upgrade. And then there's another version that came out in 2016. We're so far behind on it that we can't get patches or we can't get any new releases for it. And what that does, that jeopardizes, I don't even want to say what it jeopardizes in the public. But, I don't understand how this is gone on for 9 years without any upgrades in the system.
I don't think that's true.
You don't think it's true, or you know
We
it's
have
not
a-
true?
we-
I asked the question, do you think it's true, or
The Exchange server was just upgraded.
when?
We're running like 2012.
2012? There wasn't an upgrade in 2012.
That's what I believe that's what the server is.
You believe or it is, you know, either it's a yes or a no. The server's not half pregnant here, okay? It's either pregnant or it's not. Now, if, I'll let Mary Ellen speak because the gentleman that came in and evaluated it spoke to you, correct, Mary Ellen?
Who's the gentleman that evaluated it?
You can ask Mary Ellen.
I spoke with Fred Lewis. Fred Lewis gave me a price to retrieve the emails. It was going to be between $9,000 and $10,000. Okay? And he had told me that at this point, we hadn't had the upgrade because the contract wasn't approved. And when I looked into, and I did look into, and it was Corbett's or some company out of Albany, and I spoke to them, and they said to me that they agreed it was going to cost $9,000 to retrieve our emails. But they also told me that we're behind in our upgrades, and that if we had the upgrades we had, I would be able to go in with security clearance, that it could be set up that if I had a request like this, that I would be able to have a special sign-on, go in, retrieve the emails, and then once I signed off, I would not be allowed back in again. And if we had the upgrades and we were where we needed to be, we wouldn't be paying anybody. I would be able to do it.
The gentleman's name is Joe Cicerelli, and he's from Core BTS. And, I mean, I would like to at least have him come in and do I guess it's called a diagnostic survey on what we have, what we're lacking, and where we should go from here. Because I don't have confidence in somebody who has let this go for 9 years. And if he upgraded it in the last month, what happened the prior 9 years?
Are you saying it was upgraded completely in the last month?
I don't know. Peter said he thinks it was upgraded. I don't know.
You know, upgrading software depends on the operating system of the server that you're running. And the town has been consolidating into a new server, a VM server, and we have been eliminating older servers and moving programs into the upgraded server. That's been an ongoing process. I don't think the email is 2007. Now, and then to the point of this amount of money that was put out there, I thought, the way I heard it, and I just heard a comment about it from Fred Lewis, and haven't really researched this, but there was a question about having them do some specific reporting and searching for specific emails. It wasn't just to go out and retrieve. It was to retrieve and then filter and then go through and then pick out all the ones that were relevant to this particular subpoena. That's a little bit different process. And that's the way I heard it.
Yes, that's what it was.
That's exactly what Mary Ellen could have done in 10 to 15 minutes if it was upgraded. And it hasn't been upgraded.
Excuse me, sir.
Go ahead.
Not only could she do it in 10 to 15 minutes, but it would be $10,000 less.
Yes.
9 to 10,000, pardon me.
Now, I also want to make something clear, especially to the audience. When Mr. Lewis came here the initial night, he called me that week and he informed me that he was going to give a presentation. And I've gotten a few people that have called me and said that I sandbagged the gentleman, okay? I did not sandbag the gentleman. I asked him questions pertaining to what his knowledge of the industry should be. And all he had to say was, I'll get back to you, let me research it. But he didn't say that. He went on and on, so my questions continued. So I didn't view it as sandbagging. I view it as protecting the taxpayers' money And if somebody has a problem with that, then I'm gonna disagree with them 100% of the time.
But the problem, Tony, and I'm not saying you're not right, want to protect that, because you are right, and we all would be. The way you went about it, with bringing someone in who wasn't, you didn't let the rest of the board know about it. The guy was looking at all our security stuff without any knowledge of the board, of being aware of it. And I think that that process was wrong. The process where you were trying to ask him questions and he should have got back to you, you were right. But you got to look at both sides of the equation. That doesn't change what you're talking about tonight. What you're talking about tonight, I get. But I think the way the guy came up and all of a sudden he was the guy who looked into things, no one knew about it, it did look kind of funny. And I'm not saying you intended it that way. But it did, I guess why some people probably thought it was a little unusual. But this here tonight, what would this guy cost to do a overview?
Let's put it to you this way, I don't know what he would cost, but he's on the New York State bid list.
Okay. Now, here's one last thing. Mary Ellen, when you knew about this situation, did you go and talk to either Peter Martin or Fred Lewis or them together and let them know what you'd found out and let them have a
No,
chance to
because
answer it?
when I got the answer from Fred, how much it would cost, and I asked him not to do anything, and mind you, just so you know, I spoke to this gentleman on the phone, and it was just in regards to this request for the subpoena, on how it would work for me and how easy it would be, and what kind of price they would charge. Okay, that was my conversation with this whole thing.
Right.
And no, I didn't come back. What I did was I called Brian Nugent and I told him the two prices that I got, and we decided to go on, and I'm gonna say it this way, the honor system, and hey, everybody, I need your emails, give them to me. Instead of me going into the system and pulling them to myself, I went to every employee and I asked them for the documents that were asked and asked them to sign off. If they didn't have any, just give me a paper saying I don't have any. So I had a record, okay? But finding out that there is technology out there that can make our town come more forward. I'm losing my train of thought here, I'm sorry, I apologize. We need to get up with the times, basically is what I want to say, is if I can retrieve this kind of information in 15, 20 minutes, and then security be locked out of it, that I'm not accused that I'm going in and looking at everybody's emails, we need to do this, because the second request came in for emails again. People have requested emails and FOIA requests over the years and never got them. This gives us the ability to enhance our
I'm not arguing that
software or
point,
whatever.
Mary Ellen, I agree with you.
But no, I didn't go to Peter, I sent Fred an email, and I said that we were not going to be doing anything. I didn't think I had to go any further because, and no disrespect, Jerry, it's part of my job as records management, and this part, I was dealing with the attorney because it was a subpoena.
Okay, but then how come, here's where the process is flawed on this board. How come only certain council people are getting involved with it and not everyone together saying, hey, and bringing Peter in, instead of in public saying, hey, Peter, we're gonna get you now because you don't know the answer to something. That's where I don't think it's fair.
No, here's what I'm gonna tell you.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I said to Mary Ellen that I would reach out to Peter, so I took her out of the equation, so let's not blame her.
I'm not blaming anyone.
Okay? Unfortunately, I haven't gotten responses from Peter on two different other issues. I've requested 15 times one item regarding TMAC. So I thought to myself, you know what, I'm not gonna waste my time in preparing an email, saying it to him and not getting a response. Let me address it at the board, and that's what I'm doing.
Very similar to what I had the problem with the planner,
How long ago was this?
right?
No.
Very similar, very similar.
How long ago?
All right, folks, please.
Stop calling out Ellen,
Because what we're talking,
stop calling out the person.
we're being a little bit penny wise and pound foolish right now. When you look at what is it that my original request here was about, and that's the labor to monitor daily remote backups and the labor to monitor the server event log. Those are very important functions. The The servers are monitored 24/7. Whenever there's an issue that comes up, it gets reported to First Alert. And the data is backed up on a daily basis, and whenever there is an issue with the backup not working, that is also reported to them. And most of the time, if there is an issue, they can respond remotely and fix it. That's what we're talking about. This has been on the table for a while. I sent you all an email 2 weeks ago saying that this is something that needs to be discussed. And this part of it is important for the security of our programs and our data.
Peter, I'll tell you what's important for the security of our data, is to get an updated version for the email, because you cannot patch some of the issues that we had. That's why we got the Bitcoin virus.
That's not why we got it.
Okay?
That is not why we got it.
Why did
We
we
got
get
it, that was ransomware, and we got it because an employee opened a email.
It shouldn't have
And
got in there in the first place.
This what
And
you're
let me-
talking
let me
about,
finish.
Tony, it
Let me
won't
finish.
change it.
Here's the issue.
And
The
you're an
issue-
expert on this?
The issue is, obviously you're not. The issue is that it's ironic that Monroe and Goshen both got the same Bitcoin virus. And what are the two municipalities that are serviced by this company?
So that now you're saying that it was First Alert fault that we got the Bitcoin virus.
That's
your position?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say that part of the reason we got the
You're
virus.
on the record now for that, right?
Yes, I'm gonna say,
Good. Thank you.
because there
Okay.
wasn't a patch.
And we're gonna get sued.
And it's not
Because there wasn't a
because.
patch in the email
You
system.
don't understand. Our emails, first of all, are filtered at Hudson Valley, at HBI.
All right, you know what, I'm gonna make a
Hudson
motion,
Valley
I'm gonna make a
Internet.
motion that we ask Core BTS for a proposal to come in and do a diagnostic evaluation of our system.
I'll second it.
You just asking for a proposal?
Just asking for a proposal.
All right. I think it makes sense.
No,
Can't hurt, right?
no, can't, not at this point.
So we can sit here and argue about this all day, let's just have some expert come in and give us the assessment.
Let's find out what we're dealing with,
Okay, on that issue, I'm with you.
all right?
Question or we?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Now, can we do something in the meantime that doesn't have to do with the overview
I don't think we
and
can.
save the money for the next 3 months?
I'd like to make a motion to.
I don't think that anything's gonna get resolved before 3 months.
Oh, well,
Regarding the grand jury subpoena, I think we need to go, I'm looking at this letter, I'd like to make a motion to go into attorney-client to discuss contents of the grand jury subpoena that Mr. Cardone brought up in public. I believe that this is something which was addressed between members of the board and council in terms of how we were to comply. This is a request by me, it's a request by the people who had requested the subpoena originally.
All right, I'll second it for discussion. That's a new point. It's already been discussed. It's been, whatever has been submitted by the members or the employees of the town. There is no reason to go into attorney-client at this point to discuss it.
There's an ongoing investigation.
That's correct. There is an
subpoena
ongoing
request is
investigation.
still open.
Yeah, but
Mr.
we've
Nugent.
complied with the subpoena request. There's no reason to go to executive session.
Mr. Nugent, what was the request by the United States Attorney's Office regarding the subpoena? In terms of it being conveyed to the public or to anyone outside of the 5 board members? Do you have a copy of that, or?
I'm not going to discuss the grand jury subpoena in public.
Can we go into attorney-client to discuss that?
That's up to the board.
Why do you want to do that?
Because I believe that we violated the request by the United States Attorney in terms of discussing this matter in public. This was something, again, I have the emails on this, I'm more than happy to be able to provide anybody who doesn't have them.
All right.
But I know the council was the one who guided us into this process to try to make sure that it was limited to just the town board members, and then it became something to one of the other departments.
I can tell the board I'm not aware of any response from the government that the town failed to comply. In fact,
I'm not
they
talking about failed to comply.
indicated we did respond and
No,
comply.
Mr. Nugent, you're absolutely correct. I'm talking about their request not to convey publicly or to the other members who or to the other employees the request, the specifics and the details. Again, this is
I
something.
didn't give any specifics or details.
We can't. This is something which was requested by the United States Southern District.
You want to call the question?
Call the question.
Nay.
I'll
Yes.
say aye because it sounds like something happened. And I don't know what happened. I'd like to know.
Nothing's happened. Nay.
Okay.
All right, there you go. I guess I'll never know.
Stay in order.
All right. So,
The motion's been passed to the proposal, correct?
yeah,
Okay.
that passed.
All right, so where are we at? Let's move this along.
I want to make a motion that we hire First Cuff Technologies on a month-to-month, so that we can save several hundred a month on the things they have to do anyway for the town. Just the monitoring daily and the monitoring the survey event lines. I don't think that's going to affect the expert coming in and
Are you going to
overviewing.
include the 2-week back out?
Yeah, I'll say for a 2-week back out for the town. We can get out of it in 2 weeks if you want.
And who's preparing this document?
If we could have a contract for the, you want a second for discussion since we're
Yeah,
discussing,
yeah.
there we go. So if we could have a contract, a month-to-month contract for the next meeting, I'll.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then I'll withdraw my motion, want me to withdraw the motion then?
Do you want to do that?
I'll withdraw the motion.
Contract?
That's fine.
Okay.
Can Firthcliffe draw that up, Peter? Okay. Because they want it in writing and I understand that. So, that's fine, thank you.
All right, we got that straight.
B?
Next.
We have the privilege of the floor, which we bypass on now.
I think we're at letter B on old business.
Excuse me, I had mentioned the privilege of the floor. You had interrupted because you wanted to strike out certain items. So there's no reason, we have people here that would like to speak, if not, then we can move on. But we
I'll
don't
make a
have-
motion that we have privilege at the floor at the end of the meeting.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
You want to do it in between old and new, maybe?
How about,
I'll do it in between.
I'll do it between old and new.
Old and new,
Only-
good. Old and new is good.
2 quick items. Great, sorry.
Okay, that's fair. I'll go along with that.
Gentlemen, let's move it along.
We have the assessors report.
We're calling the question.
Aye.
We have the assessors report.
Harley?
I think it's actually B is the next item on the agenda, Town of Monroe bids for collection.
You skipped the...
B is still there.
All right.
Did the whole board vote aye on that?
Yes, yes.
No.
Oh, you voted no? I'm sorry, Harley voted no, I'm sorry.
Roll call.
Yes.
Again, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cologne,
Oh, sorry. McQuaid also aye.
No.
Tolles, no.
Next, we have the Town of Monroe bids collection, hauling, disposal of garbage and single-stream recyclables and bulk waste.
Mr. Nugent, can you, I know you,
Yeah, we have been asked to prepare an RFP for this, for the refuse contract. We were able to obtain the prior RFP that was issued. We prepared a correspondence with the draft RFP that went to the board members, and there were, in your last RFP, alternatives that were in there, so we need the board, or whoever you have, that looks at the actual refuse issues, determine if you want these same alternatives, to be part of the RFP, or you want to do something different. I don't know who deals with the contract.
right now, I would like to move this along and satisfy what we have right now. You have any other input? Nope.
So you say, Rick, you want them with the same alternatives that were in there?
Correct.
Anyone
We've been
else?
having some very good success with our current contractor, and let's see what's out there.
Harley?
You making a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Question?
All right.
All right, so do you want us to draft and then provide the board with the final
Yeah.
RFP
Yes.
before it's
Yeah.
issued?
Aye.
yes, please.
Okay, so it'll be a motion then for our office to draft the final draft, present to the board.
I'll
Second it, if it hasn't been.
Right.
You have something?
I just wanted to ask the attorney, you've spoken with April.
I have not. I didn't know if April was
She
spoke last week.
reviewed, April
She reviewed how many?
reviewed the numbers, and she's out this week, but I think we could probably find them.
The assessor will have.
I have the email she sent.
She sent you the email.
With the numbers, right, but I know she was supposed to be at the meeting last week on the 10th. I don't know if I was not here.
She was for a while, I think.
Okay, so I'll follow up with
You
her.
have those, that's all.
Would you do that?
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I'll follow up with April as part of the draft.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go back here. Jerry, you made a,
I seconded it.
okay, so let's get the motion straight here because we have two motions going. So the motion, Rick made the motion, you seconded, and it's for Brian's office to do the final draft for the RFP
Yes,
And present it to the
with
board.
with the present alternatives
yes,
And April's numbers.
and April's numbers.
yes.
Okay. And the vote?
To present it to the board.
Aye.
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 5 ayes?
Yes.
All right.
Next item is item C.
I'd like to make a motion that we table that. The assessor, there's no report in the packet. I just got this at 5 o'clock this evening. There's no assessor's report, and I don't know what we're going to discuss because there's no report in here.
Of what?
Anything?
Assessor report.
Did you check your emails for the assessor's report? I believe it was,
There's nothing in this package here.
Real?
in your email, I believe it was sent last week, early last week. I'm sorry, Peter. Go ahead.
I would just,
So I'm going to call this a question, the tabling, because there's no report attached.
Second.
I second.
Tony seconded.
Is there any way to discuss it without that, Harley, or we gotta wait for the report?
No, we had, you have, all of
got a
you
motion.
have the report, but if the requirement is that it has to be in the agenda package and not in your email, that's something different. Whatever you want to do. If you want to table this again, this is the annexation, the cost, what the annexation.
So you're saying you're gonna call a question?
Let me ask you a question. Do you have information you wanna relay to the board? Is
It's
that-
not that I have the information.
I'm asking you because you wanna discuss it, so just tell me what
The
you wanna
information
do.
was already relayed by the assessor, it was sent to all of you.
Right, but now you, listen, Harley, there's a discussion. Do you wanna do a discussion? Because obviously Mike doesn't want to, and I don't know who does.
Table it till next time. It's not gonna go away, it's
All right.
gonna just get tabled. Okay, call the question.
Alright, table the next time, okay, aye.
We have,
5 ayes?
Aye.
we have a
Aye.
Professional Square LLC approval of site improvement bond. The only question I had here was that Professional Square is an LLC. In my understanding, the two main principals are Benny Wurzberger and Joel Brock. However, in the site improvement bond, the company BYO Realty is named as the authorizing agent for the bond. So I didn't know how to, it took a little bit of time to put that together because I remember BYO Realty was on Wright Hill Road, and also on Raywood Drive. This one is BYO Realty, that's Joel Brock and Benny Wurzberger. This is for an LLC for Professional Square over on Route 208. There.
Mr. Nugent, have you reviewed this?
Yeah, I'm not sure what supervisors, what point he's making, so I'll let him just finish what he's saying.
Again, it's Professional Square LLC.
Does this conform with, this was negotiated, it conforms with the town law?
The bond is sufficient as to the information that's on it. I'm not sure with the entities what the issue is.
All right, I'll make a motion that we accept the Professional Square LLC as.
I'm trying to explain what the
I'll
difference is
second that.
between Professional Square LLC, who's the owner of the property, and the Site Improvement Performance Bond by B&O Realty Incorporated. Two different entities. One, the owner of the property, the LLC, and the other one, B&O Realty. How that popped in, I didn't know. We brought it up as we were going over the paperwork, that's all.
So is there a conflict of interest with
I
this?
don't know, again, I brought it up only because there was two different entities.
Okay, so we have something on the floor now?
So no one on the board has a conflict of interest?
I mean, the principal is identified as BENYO Realty
I'm
Incorporated.
sorry?
Can we call a question?
What was the question? I wanna know, so I know. I mean, I don't wanna vote on things if something's
approval of
wrong.
a site bond,
There is-
improvement bond, but it was Professional Square LLC.
Right.
However, the person, or the corporation was B in Your Realty who had the performance bond drafted. Two different entities, that's all it is.
They draft the performance
So
bond.
why, in other words, why was that done that way? Is that what you're asking?
Yes,
So does anyone know the answer to that
no
question?
one knows.
Or is that a problem?
That's it.
I'll ask the attorney,
Ask the
even though we're
attorney
not
if
going to
that's a
speak in terms right now, but I'll ask the attorney. Is there a legal problem with that? Ryan Nugent,
You want me to answer now?
would you please? We
You're
had
gonna allow
a
me
lot
to
of
answer?
trouble last
Okay.
time. I allowed
The principal on the bond is BE and YO Realty Incorporated. And then the second paragraph, they're referring to the construction of the project, the Professional Square project, and it does refer to the Professional Square LLC, but the principal putting up the bond is BE and YO Realty. So, I mean, there's no conflict in the bond paperwork.
That was the only question.
They're the principal, they're putting up the $700,000+ as a performance bond.
So no legal conflict.
No, they're
Thank you.
identified as a principal, and they're signed as a principal, and all the signatures and everything on the document and the corporate acknowledgement is all in BE and Y Realty.
All right.
That was the only question. Next, moving to the privilege of the floor.
No.
We're not.
We got a motion on the floor.
We have to,
Vote on it.
There's a motion to vote on this.
there's a motion
Made the
on that.
motion.
I made
Mike
the
did, I
motion,
seconded
Tony
it.
seconded.
Call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
Now,
Listen, before we go to
Is
the
that
privilege,
5 ayes?
yes.
I'm not getting
Is
them.
that
before we go to
a,
privilege of the floor, there's just one thing, on 6/21, there was under, new business, there was a contract, from McGooey, Hauser, and Etzel for Water District 12 for their engineering costs related to the Phase 1, which we did not approve. We approved the work being done by BJS, but we did not approve the engineering phase. That includes the DOH, DOH filing and everything else that goes along with it, as well as the site plan. So, I'm sorry? Yeah, I'm getting there. So the amount is $8,500. It was in our packet on 6/21. The issue still exists up there. There's still leaking water. This still needs to be addressed. But we gotta get this approved to get the DOH approvals and all the other site plan work done so that they can proceed. So I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the contract that is submitted by McGooey, Hauser, and Etzel for the Water District 12 Health Department submission proposal for professional services.
I'll second it.
Any, thing we gotta know about with that, Mike, or just staying straightforward?
It's standard, it's straightforward, it's all spelled out exactly, it's engineering report, technical specifications, it's design plans, and it's their fee and the filings for the OCDOH to get the approval for the work that needs to be done.
Okay.
So I guess, it falls outside of their normal town retainer or whatever, I guess.
Okay.
It's a water district, I guess that's.
You've been following up on it, so I
Yeah,
just asked
absolutely.
you.
All right.
Call the question.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the contract.
I'll second that.
Call the question.
Aye.
Peter, do we need to transfer money,
Can I ask you a question?
or do we have money in the,
well, you still have, we haven't used any of the 40,000 that you authorized transferring before,
so that we don't need to
you're
make
good,
a
you're
motion
good
to
for now,
transfer?
but we'll have to do it later down the road.
Okay.
Do we need, do we have everything in place that he can sign now, or is it later on we're gonna do
I
it?
just gave it to Mary Ellen,
Okay.
so she's got the contract.
Good.
Privilege of the floor now? First speaker?
Actually, have Harley sign this, then I'll scan it in and email it to Mr. Etzel in the morning. Tom LaPola?
Thank you for your patience. Good evening. Tom Paula, Monroe resident. I'll be brief, pretty brief. In regards to the discussions in North Monroe, I'm well aware the process starts at the county level, and that there'll be a vote by the county legislators, and depending on that outcome, it'll either die in Goshen, or it'll be put up to a vote for the citizens of Monroe. The county process has already begun, though, albeit behind closed doors, with a political group that disguised as a nonprofit. This nonprofit believes it has the right to negotiate a major land deal without other oversight, since it's in litigation with Kerry Show. I vehemently just disagree with that. Well, enough about this lack of transparency here. I get it, no one's listening. So I'm supposed to believe that 2 meetings in the middle of August will be sufficient to address this very complex issue of creating a new town. Let's be real here, folks. This town is either going to be created or rejected for nothing else but political expediency and power, which is okay, which is really fine. That's how the system works. I get it. If we had transparency and accountability, but we all know we don't. Now, if I may, I'm going to respectfully implore all my fellow citizens to be respectful of this board, more importantly of each other. I've lived here for a long time, and I've never seen such divisiveness in this town as I do now. If you disagree with this board, let them know respectfully, either at this podium, or a respectful email, or a respectful phone call. If you disagree with a fellow citizen, that's fine too. Initiate a civil conversation, non-condescending conversation with that individual. But if an individual refuses to have that requested conversation, respect that opinion in their space and leave well enough alone and wish them a good evening, and as I'm going to wish you a good evening and good night. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Carol Farrar? Carol Farrar, Village of Monroe.
I haven't been at meetings lately because I've been busy in the village. We're having a big problem in the village, which leads me to come here about the no-knock law and all of these things that we have just tabled. We're being blockbusted in Monroe in the village, my development across the street, development behind me. It's a problem. And I find myself in a quandary. People I respect very much at these meetings are for the comprehensive plan, and other people I respect are not. I think it's foolish if we think that, I heard the gentleman before say, well, we're not going to take over your school board. I can't tell you what's going to happen in 20 years. I can tell you what's going to happen in 20 years. I'm sorry, I just have a feeling of distrust. The board, to me, is dysfunctional right now, and we are dealing with a situation that is out of control. Out of control. So I have to tell you, and also to the lawyer that spoke, when we moved here 35 years ago, we were all told what we could do in our new house and what we couldn't do. People couldn't make mother-daughter houses in my neighborhood. We couldn't do certain things if we had an easement. We're all told what to do. It's called the rules and regulations. Okay. I have a couple of questions. I don't know if they can be answered or will be answered, but number one is the vote for the town supervisor. Is that on the same day as the vote for the separation, if it should come to pass? Isn't that a little bit backwards? Shouldn't we vote on the separation before we vote for town supervisor? Okay, I'm putting it out there because we could find ourselves in a
Hey,
whole
folks,
lot of
let
trouble.
the woman speak, please.
Okay. Also, I really think it would be, and Mr. McQuaid mentioned before about tax implications, I really think it should be brought to the public about the tax revenue loss that we're going to face with the separation and how is it going to be made up. I understand there'll be some reduction in services because we won't be servicing KJ. However, I don't believe it's going to make up to 35%. So I would love to know what my tax increase is going to be.
Hey, folks, stop, please. Just everybody. Let the woman finish, please.
And I find myself very ambivalent about how I feel about what's going on. And like I said, people that I care, that I think highly of are for it, and people I think highly of are against it. And I think we may have to have more discussion about it, because I don't believe that we are all on the same page yet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Emily?
Emily Colbert, Village of Monroe. I just want to start by saying, listening to Jerry McQuaid judge others on this board for being quote-unquote wrong in their behavior is hilarious. This councilman has regularly insulted residents over the past 5 years that I've been attending meetings. And in the early days, people had no recourse, no ability to defend themselves, as he waited until they sat down to go for the jugular. Just this evening, I was lied about after the public hearing when Jerry McQuaid started accusing me of backroom deals. He plays to the camera, hoping people at home will believe his propaganda, and it's absolutely outrageous and a total abuse of power. You are not here to have opinions. You're here to listen to the voters and represent them. You have a very skewed perception of how government is supposed to function. My comment relates to email, which was discussed earlier. Today, I was forwarded an email which was written by Harley Doles to over 50 people, including members of the press, legislators, and various other elected leaders. Included in his distribution were some of his fans or employees who are here today. It was one of a long series of emails the town supervisor has been sending over the past week. It makes you wonder if the town supervisor does any actual work when you look at his body of emails and social media activity, which I assure you is vast. The purpose for bringing up this email today is this. Our town supervisor shared screenshots of a Facebook thread which contained extremely derogatory language aimed at me. Doles shared his email with about 50 people. Disseminating this kind of vulgar and libelous material is highly unethical, especially since it was sent in his capacity as the town supervisor representing the town of Monroe. A man named Steve Dybert, who Harley Doles includes in all of his email blasts, posts derogatory, sexist, and libelous material every day on a few Facebook pages. Doles' connection and promotion of these posts and messages are done regularly. Harley Doles is sending these emails, tweets, and posts on photo news blogs as the town supervisor during daytime working hours. Our tax dollars are paying this man to behave in this manner. I would like to suggest that the town board resolve not to legally indemnify Doles as his promotion of this libelous, derogatory, sexist, and damaging material is likely to find him in a heap of legal trouble. I would hate for the taxpayers to have to foot the bill for his highly inflammatory, unethical, and libelous actions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dan?
Dan Burke, Rye Hill Road, Village of Monroe, Town of Monroe. And we do need a forum on the town of North Monroe. And this is going to be before the county legislature. We need a full and proper consideration of the division of the town of Monroe into two separate towns. And that requires that the town board conduct two open public forums, one in the village of Curious Joel and one here on this side of the Quickway. There is a decision that will be made by 21 county legislators, many of whom are woefully uninformed about Monroe, Curious Joel, and the thoughts and wishes of our citizens. Bring them to a forum. Our favorite legislator, Myrna Chemnitz, often attends town board meetings. She's always available. And I, for one, would like to hear her thoughts on forming a new town. Invite Myrna Chemnitz. We here in Monroe are lucky. We have 3 additional county legislators. Kate Benelli represents 4 election districts in the town of Monroe. These districts are smack dab in the middle of the proposed enlargement area. that will be annexed into the new town. Ms. Benelli needs to come. Invite Kate Benelli. County Legislator James DeSalvo represents 2 Town of Monroe election districts in the village of Harriman. Does anyone know Mr. DeSalvo's opinion on forming a new town? More importantly, does Mr. DeSalvo know our opinion on forming a new town? Invite James DeSalvo. Michael Amo's legislative district in the town of Monroe includes most of the village of Kirish Joel. For years, Mr. Amo has offered tours and group meetings so that public officials and interested citizens could learn more about Kirish Joel. His contribution would be very valuable, and it would be very important to hear. It would be very important that he hear from our citizens. Invite Michael Amo. On this subject, this is major. There's some issues that are going to have to be taken apart and resolved first. One, is it constitutional to form a town the way the village was formed? There are 2 opinions on that. I think the county should hire a constitutional lawyer and get a decent opinion on it, and that before they vote, not afterwards. This has to be a complete package. Woodbury has to sign on. Cornwall has to sign on. Woodbury and Harriman have water problems. They should be participate in the pipeline. And the pipeline decision, getting the county and every other town that's ever sued Kirish Joel behind the pipeline, should be done before you give Kirish Joel their own town. That's the last piece that would happen, that they would get their own town. This is going to take over a year. So to try to rush it, have no forum here, so that town of Monroe, the voters, the county legislators vote without your help, and they're going to have some hearings in August, and then they're going to vote in September, and then there's going to be a vote in November. That's too fast. You can't pick up all these. We need an IMA for Dalibus. We need an IMA for the highway contract. We need an IMA for dog control. We don't know what the the financial impact is. And this would be very easy to find. You need to hire somebody to do it. If you do the financial study after the county legislator has voted, okay.
So you're over.
Okay, that's not financial analysis, that's an autopsy. And all the water problems surrounding Kirish Joel should be resolved. They got tankers up there. Their neighbors need water. The tap into the pipeline could benefit everybody, including Woodbury, Harriman, and everybody in this town.
Thank you.
I got 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
You got 4. 4:15.
John?
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
All right, folks.
I have 3 minutes to explain why I voted for annexation.
Dan, come on, Dan.
Mr. Burke,
2 years later, what if our citizens want to know?
You can talk outside about it if you want to.
I'd like to employ the other citizens, the manager guy who just spoke, please. Don't
All right, folks, come on, stop. Let's keep it civil, please.
Last week when all of these really personal and vicious political attacks started to be waged against Emily and Mike and myself, I got angry. And you know what? The heck with it. Let them talk. Let them come up. Because I remember just a few years ago or 2 years ago that when we had huge crowds in this room and people wanted to come up and talk about possible annexation, the supervisor stifled everybody. He wouldn't let anybody talk about annexation. Oh, no, it's going to have a process. It's going to go through a process. It's going to take a long time. This is not the time or place for it. There could be litigation over it for years. He didn't want anybody to talk about it. So the heck with it. Let them come up. Let them come up and talk about North Monroe or the separation of KJ or whatever it is. Because I think that people can see where these comments are coming from. They're coming from places of envy, of hate, and really negative feelings from some of the people who live in our town. I remember just a couple of months ago, Mr. LaPola, who I comes up here every meeting and sounds intelligent, but he gave a very heartfelt plea. Why can't we compromise? Why can't we live with each other? Why can't we come to a solution with KJ? Why can't we just all be human beings to each other? And I'm paraphrasing, but that was the gist of it. And he said, why not just give them the 164 acres and let them move on, and let's move on with our lives? Well, that's what we did. We negotiated. We negotiated the possible end of a lawsuit and negotiated with Curious Joe. Heard cursing coming over there, so. And negotiated a possible reduction in Curious Joe's request for 384 acres. And where was Mr. LaPola? And where was Mr. Doles? And where were Mr. Doles' employees at the time? They could have spent their energy writing to the county legislature, going before the county legislature and saying, hey, we'd like to be a part of the process too. No, you know what they did? They sent letters to the editor saying, who the hell is United Monroe? How dare they
30 seconds.
take a seat at the table? How dare they try to participate? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason?
Jason Trowinski, Village of Monroe. First things first, I'd like to go over some of the organizational stuff behind this agenda. I have nothing fun and exciting to talk about, so. Town of Monroe, local law discussion. That's been on the agenda since May 15th. Town of Monroe, bids for collection, 6-5. That was the first time it appeared on the agenda. TMAC, Arts and Civic Center Manager, place that discussion, 6/19. That first appeared on the agenda. Why, for the love of God, can we not accomplish these things? For example, the town bids collection. We accomplished that today, and that took all of 5 minutes to do. These are all things that should be fairly quick to do, and we should be able to fairly quickly roll through an agenda. Because I think it's pretty much agreed, I'm the youngest person here, and my days of all-night ragers are done. I gotta go to bed at 11, I need my 8 hours of sleep. So the fact that we would have public comment after everything is done and through is a little outrageous to me. Now on the slightly more exciting stuff, I do believe we need a discussion forum, and I do believe the town has the right to reach out to the county legislatures, because I am interested in knowing what the legislature from Deer Park, or the legislature from Crawford, or the legislature from Tuxedo have to say about this, because they are the ones that vote on this. I also believe that those legislatures would be the ones who are most equipped to give me an impartial view, the most educated, and allow me to make the most educated view and voting decision I can make come election day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Egan?
Hopefully you're prepared this time, Mr. Egan.
Maybe. Okay, I just want to speak to, what we're all calling North Monroe tonight, but we know from the photo news, Curious Joel is now calling Palm Tree, so whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to bring down the level of emotion here, and just remind you of the facts. So the predecessor town board gave the village of Curious Joel 164 acres in the annexation process in September of 2015, right? Gave it to them, and it is now in the village of Curious Joel. We're appealing it. We're spending donor money and our time appealing it, but it's in the village of Curious Joel. It's over unless the court reverses it. It's there. Predecessor board gave it to them. All right, so remember that. That's where we're starting from. Right? That's the fact. And so Curious Joel wanted 500 acres, if you recall. So they have a suit in court to try and overturn the 500 acre denial. Right? So this thread is still out there for another 300 and something acres. It's not over. It's being contested, right? So Curious Joel then last August came up with another move, and they went to the county and they took advantage of the New York state law. It's not United Monroe and Curious Joel behind closed doors coming up with some concocted scheme to take land and move it to another town or something. Curious Joel has every right under the law, and they exercised it. It's a New York State law. You can try and create a town, and they started the process, and the county has to go through the process, whether it likes it or not. It's the law. And they said, we want 382 acres. It was another way of getting land. So that has to play out. It has nothing to do with United Monroe. Okay? So, this board could have done something about that 382 when KJ put it in into the county's lap in August of last year. It didn't do anything. Nothing. So all these people were like all excited about United Monroe doing something. I say to you, why didn't you do something? If you think it's so important, why didn't you do something? You did nothing. Nobody did anything. It sat there dead as a doornail. Right? So United Monroe said, you know what? There's an opportunity here. And we immediately said, no to 382 acres, but yes to separation, political separation. Right? Because we said that's what has to happen here. Because the Village of Curious Joel, through its block vote, right, can take control of this town board and annex more land whenever they need it. Right? Because they have the votes, they block vote.
30 seconds.
So that's why United Monroe got involved. Anybody in this room, anybody on that board could have stepped up. They didn't. We did. On our time, none of us get paid. And we stepped up and said, let's see if we can't get to a compromise and have KJ become its own town, and then the rest of Monroe, right, is on a fair and equal footing now. They don't have that block vote sitting there as a threat. And that's why United Monroe did it. It has nothing to do with all this other trumped up stuff I hear. And I'll just say to you again, if you were so concerned about all this, why didn't you do something? Right? I hear a lot of, I hear a lot of noise. Talk is cheap, really cheap. Action, getting something done. That's what matters in this life. Anybody can talk.
Thank you.
And so we have done it. I hope that we conclude it. When we conclude it, you'll know all about it. There's no secrets here. You'll know all about it, and you'll have a chance to go through the process, public hearings, at the legislature, held in Monroe and in KJ, and then the legislature votes, and you can talk to your legislators, and then there's a process where it comes to the town of Monroe, and people vote. Compare that, right? Compare that to the choice that you had when this board, 5 people, not 2 of them who are on here now, the 5 people determined that they would give it 164 acres to Curious Joel. You're going to vote. All of you can vote. You couldn't vote in that annexation process. And when they gave it to him, KJ was still in this town, and as soon as it more land, you could come back and get it. If they move to their own town, they can't do that anymore. So now I'll ask you, who are the only people who would be opposed? Who would be opposed to that plan?
5 minutes, sir.
Thank you.
Mike Goldstein?
Mike Goldstein, president of the town and village. Microphone.
Sorry.
Friday's newspaper, a weekly newspaper, there's a quote on the front page. In order for each of our communities to live side by side in peace, compromise must be reached by Curious Joel becoming their own town. This removes the power and control. Allows the people of Monroe to pursue their own destiny. There's a problem with that.
Quiet, please. Please.
Hey, folks, please.
Come on, Cart.
Whoever gave me again. Ever. Aye. There are 2 problems with that. Number 1, there's a constitutional lawyer, his name is Michael Sussman, who's publicly stated if the town of North Monroe or Palm Tree tries to come, he will fight that to the Supreme Court, and according to him, he has a good chance of winning. Number two, we will not be free. We have the other block vote, which is part of this town. And they are going to be here. Now, I know that three amigos on our town board are suffering from the Stockholm Syndrome, and they agree with this, having another block vote. And is Mr. Allegro still here? For him to make a character assassination of another resident who I happen to know, who happens to be an upstanding individual, is beyond the pale. But I expect nothing less from people like him.
Debbie?
Thank you.
Okay, I was just going to say, I've never seen Mr. Dole so excited about public comment. But what I want to say is, I think that when people come to speak at public comment, it would really be nice if the board would actually look at the person. I noticed that there's a couple of people that turn away and write and try to look busy. And I just think it's a common courtesy to address the person that's speaking. Anyway, I'd like to thank Mr. Egan for explaining what I think a lot of people are confused by, and you made it definitely more understandable. And I think there are some people that are worried because if we do separate, then they will not be able to be voted in as a council person or supervisor. So I think that's kind of what Mr. Egan was trying to get to. It's a shame that there's so much nastiness and comments back and forth, and it's not just coming from one group. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ronnie?
Veronica Connolly, Village of Monroe. The idea of town separation, the town separating from the Village of Carriage Joel, is one that I definitely would like to support, and obviously with further information garnered from the legislator. But what's interesting is that this idea is nothing new. This separation has been circulating on and off again for well over a decade from the recent research I've conducted. What's even more perplexing to me is the great opposition Supervisor Doles and his band of crony supporters have unleashed since the idea of separation has resurfaced in the last few months. When in fact, according to an article published in the Photo News entitled Town of North Monroe, July 17th of 2014, the supervisor is quoted in saying, "If breaking apart the town and removing KJ from politics is the best option, let's keep that effort." Continually, the supervisor released an article in the Photo News entitled "Supervisor Addresses Hot Topics," published on July 9th of 2014, with a subtitle, "By forming its own town, KJ would no longer participate in town elections." Mr. Joel states, I quote, "How much longer can Monroe continue if KJ remains? If we separate KJ, turn it into its own town, what is the end result? The voting bloc will have zero effect on local elections," end quote. Mr. Doles continues to say, and I quote, "The idea of the town, KJ, Orange County legislator, county exec Newhouse, and the public compromising a final outcome where KJ goes its own way forever is just too important to not move forward. I ask the public to call their state and federal representatives to join in making this happen. This will provide the framework for peace among our communities and the residents of Orange County," end quote. Let's not forget, and everybody remembers it, in his first official duty as town supervisor on January 1 of 2014, he sent a letter to the village mayor of KJ asking for separation. In Mr. Doles' own words, he writes, "Here is the conclusion I have reached. It should be obvious that it was not reached easily or lightly. I believe you should consider former Assemblywoman Calhoun's 2003 proposal for Curious Joel to become a city, or my suggestion that Curious Joel become its own town. This would serve the municipalities and our communities, since neither would ever again vote in others' elections. With God's guidance, the people's support, and our determination to ensure peace, the new towns of Monroe and Curious Joel would continue, but separately, as great places to live in Orange County. Mr. Mayor, I believe it's time for our communities to part company. End quote. Mr. Supervisor, you are a supporter of the town separation. You have been quoted in multiple articles and emails stating this very fact.
30 seconds.
The problem with most things, sir, is you are unable to complete the task. Fortunately for the rest of us, United Monroe has assembled, and we will finish the job.
Ward?
Ward Brower, excuse me, private citizen. Very interesting because the accusation that the board did nothing on this North Monroe concept. Well, this unnamed party controls 2 members plus 1. So if they wanted to do something, they could have done something. But they didn't. They let their party do the negotiating behind closed doors. And really doesn't separate anything. Block vote is really divided into 2 parts. 45% one, about the other. KJ represents a larger part, but not the complete part. So if we hark back to the last election, when this unnamed party received 2,500 votes from that other block vote, they sort of compromised themselves a little bit. Then, you're not really separating, this is not really curing anyone's problem. Supervisor Dole's back in 2014, whatever. Noble move, separate the for all wants of a better word, the theocracy from the non-theocracy. Good concept, except that this concept that we're seeing now does not do that. We still end up with part of the theocracy, the tail wagging the dog, where we're in the same boat we've been in for the last 3 decades. Rushing this problem through in a short amount of time is, I'll agree with people who object to that, is not the way to do things. It's a lot of details here that need to be ironed out. A lot of emotions need to be printed. But we do know one thing. When we talk about this party united, they are united. They united the regular vote with the block vote. That's what they did. Thank you.
That was the last speaker. Justin?
Justin, why?
How long do I have for these?
3 minutes.
Thank you. How's it going? My name is Justin, recreational attendant from the Monroe Arts and Civic Center. It's a long time coming that I get here in public. It is true that a lot of our items are tabled over and over again. I'm hoping to get into executive to speak to you guys tonight, hopefully, so we still have time. And I did, in fact, sign up tonight. Thank you for having me. We do have personnel and security issues. The staff is in desperate need of a formal security and fire safety training. We've begun the process, but as it relates to personnel and the management position, there's no one tasked in order to take the lead to make sure that these objectives are met. So I'm here tonight to make the board aware, to make the public aware that I need the authority to go ahead and get things done for our staff. We did sell about 55,000 tickets in the year 2016 and enjoyed a estimated 30% growth in the same months that we operated in 2016 as in 2015. We deal with the public on a daily basis, 7 days a week. I don't know who would be responsible, God forbid, in the event we had any kind of security or fire safety issues. Now moving on to personnel. And as it relates to the budget, I know we've been looking for the numbers. It's a very complicated business that we're running here. It's multifaceted. A lot of this was all set up, the architecture of it all, before I was personally hired. I was hired maybe about 4 or 5 days before the soft opening, 2015. We were thrown into it. I'm from the area, but I'm from the Middletown area. I attended Pine Ridge High School. I did not know my neighbors here to the south in the county, what such a different world it is. It's been a pleasure to work here, though. It's been a life-growing experience for myself. I have a background. I graduated from the Music Conservatory in Purchase. In entertainment, I've lucky enough to have 4 parents who have a great deal of experience that they've afforded me in my life experience, which includes the entertainment industry, retail management, so on and so forth, service industry. And I'm just looking to complete the job. We have identified ways that we can cut expenses. I can only affect a small portion of things that affect expenses in particular. In preparation for the budget hearings come this fall, if we can begin a process of sort of a reorg in how personnel relates, who's tasked to do what, how the time is delineated. We know just about a month ago I had to come here to the town board to seek back wages. There's no need to find ourselves in a constant process of seeking back wages. That was one time in 2015, then again here in 2016. We can clear it up once and for all. If you know what the position is, if you have a job description in writing, which now Orange County Civil Service has provided that description, I've been seeking to finally get the process going. From what I understand, there needs to be an announcement. The county needs to determine what test is adequate. There may be an existing role that's neither here nor there. I can't control any of that. But if you read the description, anybody from the public can request the description if they're so inclined. I'm basically performing the duties of that description as is. There was some talk that someone, myself, or someone could be designated provisionally. I constantly seek some kind of collaboration or involvement with the board. As you know, the items are often tabled, and then we'll just take it from there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
That's all I have signed.
I'll try to keep it pretty short. I'm looking at the Photo News article from 2015. This is from Ms. Congress. It is my firm belief that allowing a municipality who does not follow the rules, who are serial environmental offenders, who do not hold fair and open elections, whose modus operandi includes land acquisition akin to manifest destiny, should not be given land to irresponsible high-density housing. It goes on. This is what motivates me as a grassroots activist in our community to expose bad actors. Please, and it implores if you don't know, I implore you and every one of you reading this to lobby your county legislators to say no to North Monroe. If you don't know who they are, obviously you can go. Here in 2015, Ms. Congress is claiming that she's against North Monroe. Now she's claiming for it. For years, I've said North Monroe may be a good idea, but now let's start going through it. Let's start discussing the issues. Let's start having the open forums. Mr. Cardone, I'm sorry, it was discussed that I hadn't attended, or none of the board members attended any of the meetings that the county held. That's not correct. Both myself, Ward Brower, a number of us have been to the county legislative meetings, both the Rules Committee and the full legislative meeting, to discuss North Monroe. It wasn't done in any kind of confrontational way. It was done in a very calm, collected, very type of premeditated approach to be able to try to let them know that we, the townspeople, wanted to be able to have an open meeting, some kind of open forum. Mr. Brescia, the chair of the county legislature, said yes. He said that yes, we would have open meetings with the county, with the town board members. We were told that we gave 164 acres, according to Mr. Egan, gave 164 acres to Here's Joel. Well, that's Rick Colon, myself, and Jerry McCabe. We couldn't give. This is something which is a right by law. People petitioned, we said yes, and today, just a couple of hours ago, I got, I guess, a firm response. You, and this is from Gedalia Zegadin, this is a couple of hours ago, you and your team voted to not give us lead agency upon the request of LD and JF. That's why the DEC had to get involved. After waiting for many months, the landowners became tired and submitted a new 164-acre annexation. In the end, you voted no on the 507 after hiring the planner firm used by United Monroe's lawyers. You eliminated accessory apartments. At least now have some consideration for the 507 residents that came out speaking at all the annexation hearings and begging for relief. Let them have the SR10 and URM housing on the town's books. So, this is Mr. Zagadin speaking today, because he's trying to accommodate the growth within Here's Joel. He's looking to be able to accommodate those people that are going to be leaving Here's Joel. And there's a body of reasons. We have people here sitting in the audience who have a concern about blockbusting. It has nothing to do with Here's Joel. It has to do with people, real estate developers that are coming in and offering less in the village of Monroe. We see it in the village of Harriman. We see it in the village of South Blooming Grove. It's taking place. It's not orchestrated by any kind of pernicious, evil attempt. These are real estate developers seeking to be able to take an opportunity and convert it to their benefit. It's something which we're trying to figure out how to get a handle on, but obviously it keeps getting tabled, so that we'll never discuss it. But as we start reviewing this, we'll start coming up with more of a consolidated approach to exactly what Ms. Converse, Mr. Egan, Mr. Allegro have done in private with the county legislators, and just a few. And remember, this has been taking place since September of last year, originally with Mr. Berkman, one of the county legislators, and then on April 5th, I had to foil the requests from the county, and most of them are replete with a conversation and exchange between Mr. Egan and Mr. Zegadin. So we'll start releasing this, and you folks can see exactly what this dialogue was about. And we're also getting the foils from Mr. Newhouse as well as from David Church. So all of you can start putting this together and start looking exactly how the town board members, the 20 other elected officials in Harriman, Monroe, everywhere else have been excluded, including the school board. The only people that have been privy to this are a few members of the county legislature, Mr. Newhouse, Mr. Chapman, the members of the United Monroe board, and a few others. Everyone else has been excluded from this dialogue, 100%. Thank you. Tony, would you like to talk?
No, you guys gotta go. I gotta address a comment here before I talk, so.
Okay, I'll go. Ready, set. Mr. LaPola, good comments about divisiveness. This town is more divided than ever. I blame the proper candidates and the proper people who've done it. I don't write letters to people besmirching people. I don't threaten people, and I don't use the internet. So, United Monroe, I think that's your ball game. Good job. You really won. All for a few town board seats. You caused chaos, and now you're going to give our zoning away. Wonderful. Next, the school board. We have people promising us things. When I said people, when Harley actually said people in KJ were promising things, we're talking about the annexation, everyone said, get it in writing, you can't trust them, can't take the promises. UM takes every promise given to them, as if it's a guarantee. That's different though, because it's UM, they have different rules. I understand that now. I hope you start to understand it, Monroe. Different rules, different rules. Backroom deals. Right now, Mike's in the back with a Hasidic gentleman. If that had been me and Harley a few years ago, you would have been tripping on yourselves rushing back with your cameras. Different rules. I'm sorry, different rules. Different rules. Carol Ferrara. She said here at a board meeting certain things I didn't agree with, but now I think she's starting to see what's going on. Distrust, dysfunctional, out of control, rules and regs, we all have to live with them. Why do we have to change our zoning, which Blooming Grove wouldn't do and Woodbury wouldn't do? because someone wants to move into our town. You can move into town anytime you want. It's America. God bless America.
Mike, I'm sorry.
God bless
Are
America.
you done with Mr. Gelber? I just wanted to know. Are you done with the
No,
conversation?
don't,
I'm
stop.
sorry.
Wait, stop, the man is talking.
You just continue.
I can imagine. Will you tell us what you're
Wait,
going to do?
I stopped. But you know, that's not the point. Mr. Supervisor, please continue.
Thank you. Give me 10 seconds. Rules, regs, we all have to live with them. I can't move into another town because I vote people into office and tell them, change all my zoning, because now I'm here. And you've got to play by my rules now. But that seems to be what UM and some of the candidates on this board here are doing. Some of the members of this board seem to be more than willing to play that game. I have political power, change your zoning. What about the rest of us who lived here 40, 50 years, 30 years, who put into this town? A group that's coming to our part of the town, let's face it, that hasn't done anything for our part of the town. I don't know if they ever will. Maybe they will. Let's give them a chance. When they move in house by house, the way I had to, the way you had to. But no, we're going to give them what they want so they can vote us in office. Here's the other little trick that the guy who calls everyone else disingenuous, Mike Egan, the most disingenuous guy I've met in a while. And you can say I insulted you, Mike. Oh, sorry. You call us disingenuous? You're saying that you're getting away with the block vote, you're getting rid of the block, you're keeping your block vote though. The KJ Alliance, 4,500, 2,500, whatever it is, that got Tony in and Mike in, got Mr. McWaters in, and that's the political process. It helped me too. I'm not saying it didn't. I'm not disingenuous. But what happens is, stop calling out, please. Mike, stop calling out, please. I need 10 seconds, stop. I'm not gonna stop talking then. Give me 10 more seconds, 15 more.
Explain that.
Here's why. Because the town board of Monroe did it in public, we did it under heavy pressure from Channel 12 all the way to the city. You guys were in back rooms in Goshen with all your little buddies there. I heard from a lot of the legislators pounding on your chest about your vote power, and you better do what we want, and we want our votes back too. So you're making all your little deals behind the doors of wherever in Goshen, and you never were elected to represent anyone in this town except yourself for your own interest. So you're giving away our zoning to your KJ buddies, who Emily constantly refers to as our friends in the Alliance. I've dealt with the Alliance too, with a lot of nice people. Not really friends of anyone. I dare you to name 10 of them, and how many times you've actually been like friends with them. They want what they want and they're allowed to want it. You don't have to give it to them. They should earn it. They should come in like we did, like every other group, one house at a time, and build your vote. Not from the other side of the quick way, telling us how we're gonna live. Have the guts to use the law firm that sits right here that defended Woodbury in Supreme Court.
4 minutes.
They went over and they overturned a Supreme Court decision. We should use the law firm that Tony and Mike hired and do what they did for Woodbury. Why don't Tony and Mike ask them to do it for us?
Double standard.
Defend our town. Defend our town. Defend our town. Defend our town. He's sitting right there.
All right,
He's a lawyer.
Mr. Cologne, you have anything?
I've had enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn this at 11 o'clock, and
I'll second that.
I'm just gonna finish with my comment. Mr. Cologne, you have nothing else to say?
Please, I've had enough.
Yeah, Mr. Doles, I know you were like trying to out me because I was speaking to this big gentleman in the back, and that's pretty disgusting of you.
No,
But
it's
actually,
not.
on the way, if you noticed, shut your mouth, I'm talking. Actually, I spoke to Mr. Lopolo, and then I spoke to another resident, and then I spoke to this big gentleman, because you know what? He's a member of this town too, so I can talk to him. So stop your anti-Semitic crap and shut your mouth.
How on earth could you possibly say anti-Semitic? For years and years.
Let's go to agenda item F, highway approved, hiring 2 part-time
You
seasonal
wanna,
employees.
now you wanna push together, push.
Go ahead, I'll second that.
So it's to benefit somebody, that's a different story.
All right, very good. Do you want to talk, Mr.
Yeah,
Kerwin?
I'll be real quick. Justin, thank you very much, because I finally got some numbers out of the theater that I've requested 15 times. So 55,000 tickets, right? At about $7, which is high, is $385,000 that we're taking in. Okay, now if I could get a balance sheet, I would be happy to address your issues, what you want, and anything else associated with the TMAC. But until I get that, Justin, I'm sorry, you will not get anything out of me. Not directed at you, okay? This is for our left, but I do understand her ploy. our problem, I'm sorry, but that's in the village, and the village is addressing the no-knock law presently. Jason, what I just said regarding the TMAC, I'm not going to review something if I don't have numbers in front of me when somebody asks for something. So that's why it's been tabled all these weeks. As far as the garbage issue, our attorney needs to review the contract. That takes some time. And I know Rick and our attorney spoke regarding that. With respect to the negotiations between UM and the legislature, we were invited to be there. Unfortunately, Mr. Doles wouldn't go unless it was an open forum. And Mr. Brusha, the chairman, did not want to do that. And I will be forthright and come here. I did not want to sit in that room with Mr. Doles because I did not think anything was going to get done. There's no productivity here. Why should there be productivity with the legislature during that meeting?
So did you go?
I've been to a couple of meetings up there. There is another one this Wednesday at 3 o'clock or 3:30, I believe, at the Fire Emergency Center. So,
Are you going to go?
that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for all you being here this late. Appreciate it.
Mr.
Okay.
Cardone, I have to correct you. You said you would be a happy camper. I would say reasonably.
True. Okay.
Okay, let's go to F, Highway, approved to hire 2 part-time seasonal employees. John?
Yes, we've done this every year so far for a while now. Christopher Arch and Tom Stevens, again, are willing to come back. 20 hours a week, $14 an hour, and it'll start in August and then, I believe, end of November. So we'll get them through the leaf season again, which is good for us. Need the extra hands.
I'll make the motion that we hire him.
Second.
Call the question.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
We have a boathouse approved to hire 4 recreational aides.
I'll address it.
70 per hour.
I'll address it. What happened was, it wound up being 3 aides and one of them wound up being a lifeguard. We didn't know it. So we have 2 lifeguards that we can hire, Mike Frisello and Nicholas Catania. Nicholas Catania for the boathouse. Nicholas Catania is a member, is actually related to the manager, so he would never work under the manager shift. He would only work under the secondary part-time manager shift. That's been agreed to. Recreational aides at $9.70 per hour, which they all make. Matthew Nieves, Sean Bridgehouse, and Connor Feeney. These people, to my knowledge, have no relations to anyone else besides Nicholas, and they do not work at the TMAC. As far as I know, they don't work ever in the town of Monroe. That's what I've been told. I didn't research that, but they are not TMAC employees. And Tony had said he doesn't want, and I respect that, he doesn't want to just give it all to one group. So we reached out and we got other people to sign up to work for the boathouse that do not work and will not work in the TMAC. They're not TMAC workers.
I have an issue that came up. We were speaking about it before, Mr. McQuaid.
I know.
And
I'm willing to make that compromise as long as we can hire people. Otherwise, we'll wind up getting TMAC people.
Mr. Cardone, there were too many people hired. There was a little bit of chaos over there. Mr. McQuaid and I agreed to close down the boathouse until Friday, until we can establish hours, who's going to work, petty cash, and what is going on there.
Okay.
Your comment, sir.
I have an issue that we had 4 people that were hired that weren't approved by this town board.
They can't be hired unless we hire them, so they're not hired.
And they also work.
They're not going to get paid. I'm sorry.
And there was 34 hours for 2 days there. What hours are we open now?
Well, that's why I said
10 to 7:30, and the problem that happened there that I became aware of, like you did, is the manager there, he was a little apprehensive about people getting started, so he wanted to make sure there's enough people there to cover. He wasn't sure how big the crowds would be, and he also wanted to make sure everyone was together, got up to speed on everything. So that was, I'm not going to blame him, it was an honest mistake. I let him know that that was a no-no and that he's got to trim it right down. He agreed. He didn't realize he was stepping over his boundaries, and in my opinion, it was a mistake, as you noted. Won't happen again. And as for the I'll look into people being hired, working there who weren't officially hired. I will check that out. I wasn't aware of that. But I will say that if we can hire these people as a town board, they can work there. They're not TMAC people, and they will be able to work, you know, from the point of hire now. We'll wait to reopen on Friday to make sure everything's straightened out.
I can tell you, whoever was hired without the authorization of this town board, we're not gonna pay.
Okay, that's fine with me.
If you weren't aware of it, who did the hire?
Well, what I think Mike, and I'm gonna check it out, because it was not a good thing. If what you're saying is true, it's not a good thing. I will see if maybe people had signed up, gotten background checks, and then they just took them off another list of just being checked,
Well, who's
not
that?
hired.
Who is that?
The management at the boathouse.
So the management of the boathouse arbitrarily hired people?
I don't know how it happened, because I was just made aware of it now.
I believe this was coordinated by Elaine, one of the HR people.
See, Jerry, this is the typical reason why, when you bring something up, I get apprehensive about it. Because
Right.
you make us promises, and then those promises go out the door, and there's other promises that you make to other people that come first. I mean, here we are, we hired 4 people that weren't approved.
I'll check that out.
What would
I'll
have
check that
happened? What would have happened if somebody got injured there, drowned there, had an accident there? What would have happened? Don't you realize the liability you put the town in?
And I understand what you're saying, but they would have been covered on the insurance anyway for working for us. It's not their
They're
fault.
not working.
But they're not working for us.
That was the big
Oh,
problem.
I will check it out, and I will make sure that that's rectified.
Rick, I'm gonna say that I don't think this could get rectified in 4 days. And I think we should close it until next week sometime. Okay, so that we can get names, addresses of people. Because, you know, Councilman McQuaid stated to me at a meeting as we were leaving, I don't know, 2 or 3 meetings ago, that we don't want to hire the kids in Monroe. Yet 4 of the hires were from out of Monroe.
All right,
So you know what?
It doesn't
Did you brought it
matter.
up?
No, it doesn't matter, because I didn't get any other information. I wouldn't expect to know that.
All right, so
Because
you're
we
saying,
hired from the paper, from a list, and from people who come in to apply. And you wanted non-TMAC people who generally are from Monroe, so we're hiring people as you wished. So how can you have it one way and then the other way?
because if the town board did not hire.
I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about, he's saying now they're not from Monroe. That's, you can't have it both ways. If the TMAC kids are from Monroe, we gotta hire someone who
We
in
got a
TMAC,
lot of
that's what
kids
he
in the
wanted.
town, I think that they.
Well, we take the applications as they come in. I'm not the HR receiver of applications. I have to depend on them to do their job too. That's a fact.
Well, they didn't do their job.
It might not have, and I'll have to look into it, but I'm not there every day watching the applications getting handed in.
So what are you talking about?
And neither are you.
I would like to amend that motion
28?
to, yeah, 28 is good.
28th is fine, 28th. I mean, July, I'm sorry.
July.
When's the 28th?
Friday.
Friday?
Yep.
So we're gonna not have the kids have summer jobs for 11 days?
There he goes again.
No, I'm just saying, that's what it ultimately is, it's not their fault.
No, well,
It's not
it's
their
somebody,
fault.
it's somebody's
Well-
fault, we have to be responsible to the
In 4
taxpayers.
days, I'll straighten it out.
It's mismanagement, and I want to make sure that we are hiring people who we are supposed to hire, A, people who are approved by the board. Now, if we approve these people.
That's as far as I know
background
it
checks,
works.
to
I'm telling you.
I mean, we're having issue after issue after issue.
It's the first weekend of something that's been closed for a year and a half. You don't think there'll be a wrinkle in any operation? I mean, let's be
This is
real.
a bit more than a wrinkle when you have 4 or 5 people, 7 people bumping into each other, and 4 that are hired that weren't even approved.
I'll look into that number, I had never heard of that. I don't know that for a fact, but I will check it out. If you want
There's a
to,
shift change, one of the reasons there was people, is because of the shift change that overlaps.
yeah, but they did have a few too many people there, I agree with Tony on
And the
that. I agree
hours
with
are
Rick on that.
established, even you said that, and I'm not.
No, I shortened them because you wanted them shortened.
Right, because
That's what
there's
you wanted.
nobody showing up
Now I'm getting beat, no, that's not true, a lot of people showed up for the boathouse
on the weekend.
on the weekend.
Well, I'm talking about the weekend.
The weekdays, you're right, and we're shortening the hours, I agree with you. So I'll make a motion to shorten the hours.
So you will open 9 hours for 2 days,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
which are,
No, Saturday and Sunday. We're open Friday.
No, but people had to get trained, man, they had to get.
They had a couple hours, that's all,
So there was
to
training.
get trained.
It's not 2 days of training.
It was 2 hours.
It's just an hour or
No,
so.
who said 2 days? Who said 2 days?
No, I'm just saying, you're making an issue as if it's like a long, arduous
I
thing to
just
get
mentioned
trained.
that
It's only
there
do
was
this and
no
that.
issue, that was.
It's not
it was
rocket
issued, it was a
science.
statement
It's
that
not
somebody-
rocket science.
It was a
Okay.
statement, you said it was.
So
an
when
issue.
are we going
It
to
wasn't an
open?
issue, it's a
Okay.
statement.
Listen,
You
Rick,
stated that on
I would
Friday.
I would like a statement of every worker that is employed there, what their address is, their name, their address, and I would like to know who interviewed them and what, what,
The hours.
That's
the
not
hours
unreasonable.
are.
And that's
I
not
don't think it's
unreasonable.
unreasonable.
What
I
hours?
don't
What do you
think-
mean, what hours?
What-
Tell me. do you
What
mean?
hours? I want to know I want to see a schedule of what hours people are working there. from
Okay.
Monday through Friday.
And Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, do you have a budget where you have hours for the week?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, do you know how many hours a week?
They're gonna work, Monday through, Monday through Friday from 12 to 7, and Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 7 also.
That's
So it's 2
35.
more hours
So
on
it's
the
like,
week.
so say it's 54 hours you're open. And
Okay.
how many people do you think you need there?
Well, we have a manager that's gonna be most of the time, they'll cover most of those hours. In fact, they should be, because we just reduced them, should be able to cover all the hours. So you need a lifeguard during the days, so you only have a manager and a lifeguard. And during the weekends, which are busy, you're gonna have a rec aide, a manager, and a lifeguard during the Saturday, Sunday. And Friday afternoons, we'll experience how busy it is. That's all, it's not a lot of people. You're right, he did overstaff at first, and I also told the guy, you shouldn't have done that. He was trying to be cautious, he was afraid he wouldn't be able to handle the crowd, he didn't know.
So you
Never having done so again.
You think 110 hours during the week is sufficient?
Let me talk to the manager, but
See, but Jerry, you should
Sounds like that.
have known this ahead of time. don't you?
sounds like it.
You should have known what the hours you were gonna.
When can you get that to the rest of the board members so we can at least email each other and get this done as quickly as possible? Mr.
Later in the week, I'll have to talk to everyone now.
Sooner the better.
So when do we want to reopen, the 28th?
We'll target the 20th. The sooner you can get it, the sooner we'll open.
And how we do that, by email
Yes, we
chain?
can. Yes, we
So we'll reopen by email chain. All right, all right,
I just wanna,
all right, I got
I
you.
don't wanna say it, we can get it done sooner the better, but I just want
Okay.
all of this straightened out so we're all on the same page. That's
Got it.
all I'm asking for.
All right,
And also,
can we hire the
I'd
people,
like
so
a
we
letter
just have people to run it that don't work at T-Mac? I mean, it makes sense to hire them, and then we won't use them if we don't reopen.
No, because then Justin's gonna have a problem scheduling.
No, these people don't work with T-Mac.
They don't.
Oh,
They don't work.
Okay.
That's what you wanted, no
And-
T-Mac.
Yep.
Right, and establish the petty cash and all that
Okay.
other stuff, right?
I'll make a motion that we have $500 petty cash at the boathouse, which they've had in the past.
No, that's too much.
300 right now.
300.
Okay, I talked to the previous manager. She told me, just in a phone conversation, she said you would be better off with 500 because we don't accept other payments other than cash. So if you have a busy weekend, you run out of money, you gotta run to the bank a lot.
Where do you
So-
run out of money? Should be bringing money in.
No, but you gotta make change with a lot of stuff, different things.
No, but still should be.
Okay, $300. $300.
We can always.
I'll make it
raise-
$300.
We can always raise
Okay,
it.
that's fine, $300 petty cash.
What
for
did
the
they
boathouse.
take in this weekend?
I'll get you the numbers, I just heard it was very good. I wasn't at the boathouse this weekend. I mean, I was there Saturday to check on them a few times, but I didn't go there Sunday. I don't know I went there at the end of the day, I don't know the numbers.
All right, I'd like to see the deposits there, so not.
I was on
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday, I was trying to help out where I could. It was very crowded. Sunday
Yeah,
was
I'm sure.
a huge day, but remember, this was a soft opening. We didn't notify anybody. This was done very, very
No, that's
quietly
true.
because we didn't want to have being overrun. It got crowded. Sunday was it was great.
Okay.
It's.
But
I have a
I'm just
second
trying,
on the
I'm just trying to get it established. so-
Can we call the question on the motion, please?
Wait, there was a
So
question.
it's-
300?
You did the deposits
Did you
today.
second it?
Second, second.
Call the question. Aye.
Aye.
Peter, you did the
No,
deposits today.
the deposits are set up with the Dropbox.
Okay, that's right.
The managers do it. Listen,
Yep.
I'm gonna make a motion to hire 2 lifeguards at $11 an hour, Mark Frisello and Nicholas Catania, who will only work for the Janet Connor shifts, so he won't work on his father's shift. And I will also include in the motion to hire 3 recreational aides at $970, Matthew Nieves, Sean Bridgehouse, and Connor Feeney.
How are we gonna do that when I don't have names, addresses, and whatnot?
I'll get all that for you. They will not start till you get it.
I'm not doing anything again until I have it before me.
We'll do that via email once it's approved.
We'll hire them via email?
Yes,
Is that okay, board?
I don't know, can we do that?
yes.
Lawyer, can we do that?
Can we hire people via email? We've never done it before.
No.
No.
Just hire them, and if they don't check out,
Oh, here we go. Just hire them again. If they don't check out.
Not again, they've never been hired before.
Just hire them.
You wanted non-TMAC, these are non-TMAC people. We went out of our way to put the word out to get lifeguards and non-TMAC.
Jerry, I don't believe a thing you say regarding this, so I'm not hiring anyone until I have the information
I'll get you the
in front of me.
information.
No, okay, when you get me the information,
Then we'll be
then
in the
I'll
same
make a
place we were
decision.
before. This is a catch-22, which is exactly how you're
No,
designing it.
no, here's the catch-22, Jerry. You
What's
should have
that?
started this in December instead of May. That's what the
I started it
catch-22
as soon as I could.
Well,
We never had to shut it down in the first place because it was running good anyway. So let's get right back to the beginning of it. You shut it down for what I consider terrible reasons, and now you're trying to keep pushing it
Terrible
further
reasons.
away.
4 people
Terrible reasons.
that were hired without the board approval.
No, I'm talking about a year and a half ago when you shut it down, Tony.
A check that was given.
The same comment you made to me earlier, I'm throwing right back at you. You did the wrong thing, and now I'm trying to fix it and you won't let me.
I'll let you, I just want the information before.
Yeah, you won't let me. You're gonna run through hoops, Tony.
I have a question, Mr.
You're not being reasonable.
Mr.
We
McQuaid.
can hire them, and then if you don't like them, we won't keep them. We
Mr.
won't let
McQuaid.
them start.
Mr.
That's
McQuaid.
perfectly reasonable.
Mr. McQuaid, how many people do we have on payroll for the boathouse so far?
Let me think. With T-Mac?
No, boathouse. How many people on board with boathouse? Right
Oh,
now?
boathouse?
Yeah.
I think it was 7.
Okay, so why don't we do that, and the next time we meet, or we can have an emergency meeting and hire more if need be in the middle of the week.
Okay, so you'll agree to an emergency meeting?
If need
You.
be.
I'm asking you.
Yeah.
I'll agree.
I'll agree. Okay, fair enough.
Well,
Right now,
Rick,
right now,
Rick, you're being ordered.
Wait,
Rick, that's that
I beg your
order.
pardon?
Leave him alone.
You're
Leave
being
him alone.
ordered.
Leave him alone.
Good, tell him, Tony.
Rick, just,
Tell them what to do.
just so you know, Rick,
Good.
there are,
You know what?
Yeah,
It's
good.
gone far enough. I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at this point.
8,
Oh,
9.
what-
I just got one more order of business we have to take
Just
care
so you
of.
know,
Well then,
I have a motion.
let's get to it.
Rick, just so you know, there's 12 people without TMAC that are hired.
So then what are we hiring more for?
Exactly my point.
That's it. Next
These are
page.
non-T-Mac people here.
Next
These are
page.
non-TMAC people.
Listen, just call the question and let's move on,
Okay.
please.
Call the question to
What are
hire
we
these
calling the
people.
question?
Hire the 5 people that I searched out so we can have non-T-Mac people work there.
I mean, we have 12 people
No,
on.
we don't.
14.
No, we don't. Stop making up numbers. They're T-Mac people, Tony.
No, they're not. You wanna see the
They're
list,
T-Mac
Jerry?
people.
42.
You wanna see the list?
No, I
Jerry?
wanna hire the people that I know as lifeguards and non-T-Mac people I have in front of me,
You
that I
don't- You don't
know.
wanna see the list
That I know.
that was provided to me because.
By who, Tony?
By the controller's
No,
office.
this was from Ghislaine.
No, it can't be from the controller's office. I don't think he does the HR.
No, this was from Ghislaine.
The HR told me today to hire these people so there'd be non-T-Mac people working at the boathouse. That, I'm trying to give you what you want.
7,
Can you just hire them?
9, 10, 11. You had 11 people working there this weekend, so how could there only be 7 people? You don't know
7 I
what
knew.
you're doing there.
I
You
wasn't
have no
there.
clue what you're doing.
I'm not the manager, I'm just trying to get the thing open for the people to enjoy it.
Let's
You
not
obviously
pass-
don't
Listen,
care.
listen, let's just try to get the thing going together. I mean, try to get it together, get it going, we'll bring it up at the next meeting if you need additional hires. Let's just go forward.
Emergency meeting if we need it.
Let's go with the let's go right now with what we have, and we'll talk at the 28th early if need be.
Okay.
I wanna see something.
Yeah, he wants to
in hand.
suspend operations till the 28th or earlier if we can get things going the way he wants it going. That's it, right?
That's it.
That's it.
You hire 11 people in one day, they're all tripping over each other.
I didn't
You got
hire
people who are
I
hired.
trusted
that
the
wanna-
manager to do it.
I don't know what the heck is going on.
Okay. I got it. That's what you want, that's what you want.
That's what-
Fair enough.
exactly what
I'll withdraw my motion.
We had spoken about that earlier.
I'll actually call the question. You had a second. Call the question.
What are we calling it?
I brought up and I had a second to hire these people. Call the question. Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, there you go, done.
All right, listen, I have, the attorney had sent out a resolution that we all received earlier today. It was part of the,
All right.
to cast to a positive declaration for the comp plan update and zoning amendments in accordance with the Environmental Review Act, the SECRA.
What is this?
It is to declare a positive declaration for the environmental significance of the proposed 2007 comprehensive update and zoning amendments in accordance with the Environmental Quality Review Act, secret Article 8, Environmental Conservation Law.
We have a
Yeah.
copy of that?
It was emailed out today. I can sum it up for you. We, in this case, for the comprehensive plan, we didn't have an environmental assessment form. Instead, we started with the DGEIS, the draft generic environmental impact statement, which the board accepted. So you are allowed to use that as your starting point, but you need to issue the positive declaration having received that draft DGEIS.
We just received it. Is that correct, Ms. Nugent?
I
You just got it today?
I haven't seen it.
No, the
No,
DGEIS,
what are you talking about? You just emailed something today?
the positive declaration, the resolution, yes.
Right, we haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it.
We haven't, it's brand new to us. Can we at least have it till the next town board meeting to be able to review it? This is
Review
a
the
pretty
resolution?
significant- There's a pretty significant action on the town board's part. We haven't had a chance to.
I haven't seen it.
Actually, this part is not very significant. The DGEIS you received was the significant part, and that's when you issue a positive
If it's not
declaration.
significant, then is there any reason why we can't hold off until the next town board meeting if it's not significant? We didn't even get a chance to look at it.
Kind of like the agenda we got late this afternoon.
Well, this is a little bit different. This is a pretty,
Kind of like the same thing.
pretty impressive in terms of moving a comprehensive plan forward in a correct way. And by the way, and I will do this, Mr. Gelb, I've known you a long time. I was called an anti-Semite by this maggot.
Listen, we're talking about
By
this.
this maggot.
Do not,
Yeah.
However,
however,
let me just say this.
It's-
I've known you a long time.
So we're gonna make a motion that
This
we
is a man who
accept the
characterizes me
positive
as an
declaration from the
I
resolution.
apologize to you.
I'll second that
If you
motion.
feel
I
in
second.
any
I haven't
way
seen it.
Rick
that you
seconded it.
somehow would disrespect.
Now, wait a second. I mean, I'm
accept
gonna
my
make a
All right,
comment.
since Mr.
I'm gonna make a
Since
Thank you,
Mr. Dole's going over the
Because
reservation.
this maggot next door to me, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
This creature,
Yeah.
okay, has
All right.
enough to be able to
Enough.
say that
Are
I'm
you gonna close the question?
I have a right to discuss it.
a born-again crook. Okay?
just discuss it.
You are the absolute lowest.
All right.
You know what?
I have a question about
Do you want to, close the question?
No, I don't.
work with you.
Not till I answer my
You are a
question.
good guy. What has happened to you?
Mr. Dole.
What the hell has happened to
Mr.
your
Dole,
values?
You never were a good
No
guy,
idea.
so nothing happened to
They have
you.
no idea.
Do you
I have a
want to close
question.
the question?
I have a
What has
question.
happened to you?
I'm
that
gonna-
you-
Why do we have to vote on it now?
What happened?
Why do we have to vote on
Make
it
a
now?
motion to adjourn.
Wait, I haven't seen the document, but I haven't, you haven't given me a chance to see the document. Wait a minute now, Tony, this is why, the way you look at things is wrong. You tell me I didn't do things right, and now you and your lawyer push a document down my throat I didn't get to see. How is that right? Tony, how is that right, Tony?
I have drinks on the
There
house.
is no.
I didn't even get a chance to look at it, I had to work today.
Because of the two of you.
I have to work for a living, I didn't get a chance to look at it.
That's
No, it's just, that's not fair to me.
I think it's.
You know what the United Monroe does.
But if I do the votehouse wrong, Tony says it's wrong.
You're the guy with
You're being a hypocrite, Tony.
You're the guy with
You're being a hypocrite, Tony.
Yeah.
Tony, you're being a hypocrite.
Ladies and gentlemen,
One more.
Oh, really? I'm going up the river. How am I going up the river?
Tony, you're being a
Mr.
hypocrite.
How am I going up the river?
In a swan boat.
Yeah, how am I going up the river? Tell us how.
all right. Apparently,
Tell us how.
Mr. Dole's
What
is out of
FBI
control.
investigation? No.
Apparently, Mr.
He
Dole's
just said I'm
cannot
going up
control
the river.
himself.
How is
So
that?
I'm gonna make a
Because
motion
of
we
what?
I apologize for the
Because
public, because I didn't get to see the document,
On
that's,
things that happen in
I guess
the
that's
courts.
different rules for different people.
All right.
Yes.
Alright, so last thing is, the town auditors, and maybe you read this, is from April of
We already, no, the
2017.
meeting's already closed, they voted the meeting.
There was a letter,
They did.
Aye.
there's a
You can't do
letter.
something else, wait a
that
minute, you
needs
can't
to
do something
be-
else when there's a motion on the floor.
Mr. McQuaid, can I finish, please?
No, you're out of order.
Oh, really?
There's a
I don't think you're in charge of the meeting, Mr. McQuaid. You're not the chairperson.
But you need order.
You're trying to.
Sorry, you're not in
Aye.
charge.
Aye.
You're in charge.
Rick. Aye.
Aye.
No, see, now we have,
Now we're back to the
how many
meeting.
votes you gonna give, aye or no?
Go ahead.
Mike didn't vote,
Mike voted, he voted
did he
no.
vote? Okay, then that's fair.
There
Finally, so let's
is-
follow the rules. I have to teach the
I agree
attorney
with
rules.
you. There's a letter of April of 2017, and the town auditors of Connor Davies have not received responses from the supervisor and Mr. McQuaid regarding the audit. So I don't know if you had a chance to read that, but it was from April 13th,
Sure I did.
2017.
And again, I can't sign off on it because I believe that one member of the town board and someone else has broken the law. So therefore, I cannot sign off on it. Just a simple fact.
So,
My concern is that one member of the town board and another elected official has broken the law, and therefore I cannot sign off. That's why I haven't signed off.
no, you haven't signed off, you were,
No, no,
you were
no, that's the reason.
you told the
No, I
accountants
haven't
that you
signed
would
off.
provide proof
That's-
of the fraud. That's what the accountants had said.
Where is this? Let's go back to the emails. Let's find all the emails. No, no, no.
Here's the
Let's do
issue.
this. Let's,
Mr. Dole.
you're gonna bring up a good issue.
Mr. Dole,
We're
we
going
will
to the
not,
next
we
town
will
board
not
meeting.
get the audit
We're gonna
released.
bring up all of the emails that we have regarding you and
Whatever you want to bring up, Mr. Dole, but our audit will
As
not
well as
be
the other
released
elected officials.
until you and Mr. McQuaid sign this
Two members
letter.
of the, one member of the town board and another elected official who I believe has broken the law
So
by
wait,
the
go
bidding
ahead.
process.
Go ahead. What
That's
bidding
all.
process? What bidding
Let's
process?
discuss this when the emails come out. How about we do that?
What are we talking
You're also
about?
violating the subpoena from the United States.
We talking
Senate
about the
District.
furniture?
So why don't we wind up bringing?
We talking about the furniture?
You're bringing up the furniture,
All
not
right,
me.
well, then what
are.
are you talking about?
Again, we stand adjourned, don't we?
I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
The two crooks have adjourned.